Chapter 1. New Moon Year 92, April 30th. The Xia Kingdom, Pak Sun Province. 2 moons hung in the sky, and the night did not seem like night. Under the moonlight, a huge ferocious bird flew over the city, letting out a sharp and ear-piercing howl, and pounced on the pedestrians below. The streets were in chaos. A sword light shot over from afar and pierced through the head of the ferocious bird. The huge body of the ferocious bird crashed into a building with inertia and smashed onto the ground without slowing down. A group of black-clothed men quickly rushed over and took the body of the ferocious bird away. The chaotic street returned to normal. The pedestrians talked and laughed, and it became lively again. If the ground did not crack, there was no large amount of blood and feathers, and there was no broken glass all over the ground. It was as if nothing had happened just now. Jiang Xi was very calm. He only raised his head to look at the black-clothed warriors, then quickly lowered his head and looked at the vegetable stall in front of him. He could not let people take advantage of the chaos to steal the vegetables on his stall. He had lived in this era for 6 years and had seen many similar scenes on the news. First he was shocked, but now he was used to it. 100 years ago, after the great changes in the world, although humans had re-established social order, the rising martial artist forces and the occasional monster made the new social order chaotic. As a mobile vendor who sought survival, setting up a stall in this era could not avoid some trouble. For example, being robbed. Jiang Xi lived in the apricot flower garden community in Luming district. The entrance of the community was one of his permanent spots. "Little Jiang, you haven't closed your stall yet?" A tall and thin middle-aged man came in front of Jiang Xi's stall. Jiang Xi gave an indifferent grunt and didn't pay any attention to him. This was his neighbor downstairs, nicknamed Li Matzi. He had a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks. He had a cunning look and was famous for loving to take advantage of others. Li Matzi lowered his head and picked at Jiang Xi's stall. There were potatoes, vegetables, radishes, and other fresh vegetables on the stall. Jiang Xi was the youngest of the mobile vendors nearby. He was thin and small and looked easy to bully. People like Li Matzi often came here to take advantage of others after a long time. Jiang Xi couldn't stand it anymore. "Uncle Li, these are all new goods that I just bought from the market. They are guaranteed to be fresh. You don't have to pick them out. You have to choose. You always buy it in the morning and sell it at night. It's definitely not fresh anymore." Li Matzi didn't even raise his head as he picked another potato. Jiang Xi rolled his eyes. After a while, Li Matzi finally finished. Jiang Xi quickly weighed and paid the bill. "Uncle Li, the total is 980 yuan. Xiaojiang, I'm also your regular customer. How about 9 yuan? "No problem, take care." "All right, give me 2 more green peppers. I'll take care of your business next time." Li Matzi's movements were also very fast. He grabbed 2 green peppers from the stall, grabbed the bag and left. "Xiaojiang, the next time you meet someone like Li Matzi, you don't have to be so nice to him." The stall owner next door, Old Yang, spat at Li Matzi's back. Jiang Xi smiled and said, "Uncle Yang, harmony is the most important thing in business. If I quarrel with him over a matter of 1 yuan, I'll lose more than that." "You're smart, kid. I don't understand these principles." Old Yang shook his head. Jiang Xi smiled and silently turned the electronic scale back. What a joke. He was an elite stall owner in his previous life. How could he be taken advantage of by someone like Li Matzi? 8:30 p.m. Jiang Xi's stall was almost sold out. He was ready to pack up and go home. "Xiaojiang, take this old hen back. It's almost time for the college entrance exam. You need to nourish your body." Old Yang handed a hen to Jiang Xi. "Thank you, Uncle Yang. It's okay, really." Jiang Xi hurriedly waved his hand. "We've been neighbors for a few years. You don't have to be so courteous with me. Plus, I went to the market to buy some vegetables today. It's free." Jiang Xi didn't believe Old Yang's words, but he couldn't refuse, so he accepted the hen. He was very grateful. After giving the rest of the vegetables to Old Yang, he took the hen and went home. Apricot Garden was an old residential area. It was built in the first year of the New Moon era. It was the first residential area built after the great changes in Pak Sun Province. It was a shelter, so it was very crowded. All the houses had 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The area was less than 30 square meters. It was a miracle that it could survive for almost 100 years. But today Apricot Garden was a slum. Jiang Xi was reborn in this era 6 years ago. He was originally a street kid. After he made some money from his stall, he rented a house here. There was no elevator on the 23rd floor. When he reached the door, he could only walk with his hands on his waist. This body is too weak. He couldn't help it. He didn't have enough nutrition. After he opened the door, a girl who was also malnourished walked out of the room. The girl didn't have a name and was also a street kid. Later on, she took Jiang Xi's surname and was called Jiang Dudu. 6 years ago, when Jiang Xi was reborn, his body was very weak. He couldn't even walk and almost starved to death. It was Jiang Dudu who saved him. Since then, the two of them depended on each other. Brother, the food is ready. Wash your hands and eat. Jiang Dudu smiled and put a pair of slippers in front of Jiang Xi. Like Jiang Xi, Jiang Dudu was also very thin and weak like a bean sprout. Although she was 13 years old, her height was about the same as old Yang's 7-year-old grandson. Jiang Xi changed his shoes and walked into the house. He raised the hen in his hand and smiled. Doubt, look what I brought. Jiang Xi, you're spending money again. Jiang Dudu's smile disappeared. This is from Uncle Yang. You can't just accept things from others, don't you know? You're so mischievous. I taught you all these things. Jiang Xi tapped Jiang Dudu's forehead with his finger, then smiled and said, Don't worry, I gave all the leftover vegetables from today's sale to Uncle Yang. That's still spending money. Do you still want to eat chicken or not? Yes, Jiang Xi smiled and shook his head. He carried the hen into the kitchen. Jiang Dudu couldn't be blamed for being stingy. This was caused by her experience as a street kid. Although he was also a street kid, he lived in a peaceful era in his previous life and was mature. After his rebirth, he quickly got rid of his street kid identity. Jiang Dudu, on the other hand, had been a street kid since she was young. She was hungry and full, so she had a strong sense of money. In the small kitchen, Jiang Xi started to kill the chicken. Jiang Dudu watched excitedly. The sound of saliva swallowing could be heard. Stay away, don't let the blood splash on you, Jiang Xi said as he sharpened the kitchen knife on the whetstone. He grabbed the hen's neck and gently wiped it. The hen struggled with all its might. It was especially strong before it died. If he didn't hold it down, it would definitely spill blood all over the floor. You killed a mutated hen. Experience +5. You received experience. Successfully activated the experience panel. The sudden sound of the system notification stunned Riverward. The hen was alive and kicking. Blood splattered everywhere from its neck. Hey, quickly hold it down. Jiang Dudu's yelling pulled Jiang Xi back from his daze. Jiang Xi, do you know how to kill a chicken? My mistake. Although he was covered in blood, Jiang Xi was smiling happily. After he held the chicken down again, he took a closer look. He found that this chicken was indeed a little different. Its eyes and neck were abnormally red. That was caused by the burst blood vessels. A mutated hen? This chicken can't be eaten, Jiang Xi said. What? Why can't it be eaten? Jiang Dudu was dumbfounded. She almost swallowed a basin of saliva. I suspect that it has mutated. Look at its eyes and the skin on its neck. Jiang Xi flipped open the problem areas. Didn't the news say that the poultry in the city can't mutate, and that the mutated monsters are outside the city? Jiang Dudu was puzzled. In the end, she swallowed her saliva and sighed. She couldn't eat the chicken. It was late at night. 2 bright moons hung high in the night sky. With the naked eye, one couldn't tell the difference between the 2 moons. They were exactly the same. Jiang Xi shook his head. There was an additional moon and the recovery of spirit power in this era. It seemed that anything that appeared was normal. For example, the experience panel in front of him. Level normal, 21100, experience. 6 years after rebirth. Has the cheat finally arrived? Jiang Xi didn't have the energy to complain about the simplicity of the panel. He originally planned to work hard in this era in the hard mode. After all, the memories of his previous life couldn't be used here. Because if the history books were not wrong, the era of his rebirth should be the future. In the year 2237, a second moon appeared outside the Earth. The recovery of spirit power quietly arrived. The world changed dramatically. All things grew and creatures evolved on a large scale. However, a large number of wild creatures were more adapted to the new environment and walked to the forefront of evolution. They became powerful monsters and competed with humans for the new world. In the year 2247, this year was also the first year of the new moon era. In the year 23 of the new moon era, the world changed again. Creatures evolved for the second time, and the second recovery of spirit power began. At this time, human martial artists had become stronger by relying on the ancient martial arts inheritance of the old era. They established a martial artist training system led by the Four College of Martial Arts, and cultivated a large number of martial artists. In the year 61 of the new moon era, the beast tide attacked Pak Sun province. The A-level powerhouse Li Bai appeared out of nowhere and killed the powerful blood-eyed demonic ape, which was also an A-level monster. Since then, no A-level monsters attacked human cities. Martial artists are the pioneers of human evolution in the era of spirit power recovery. Jiang Xi showed a yearning expression. The recovery of spirit power had been going on for more than 100 years. The martial artist training system established by humans had a history of 70 years. The easiest way to become a martial artist was to pass the Martial Science College entrance examination and enter the College of Martial Arts. However, with his current body and financial conditions, it was a fool's dream to become a martial artist. If this experience points panel works, there might be a chance. Jiang Xi tried to use his consciousness to allocate the experience points to his level. Level, normal, 26100. Experience points, 0. The next moment Jiang Xi felt his blood vessels expand. A magical energy spread throughout his body. His physique improved in the blink of an eye. His muscles tightened, and his breathing became stronger. It was unlike before, when he was panting and weak after walking for a while. "I'm so hungry." Then a strong sense of hunger appeared in his stomach. It was as if he had not eaten for 3 days. Jiang Xi quickly ran into the kitchen, took out the leftovers and wolfed them down. However, the leftovers were not enough. He opened the fridge and ate everything edible, including steamed buns, bread, cucumbers, and carrots. In the end, he was only 70% full. "Jiang Xi, are you possessed by a hungry ghost?" Jiang Daodu stood at the kitchen door in her pajamas and hugged a doll. "I think so." Jiang Xi nodded. Jiang Daodu turned and left without a word. "I'm still a little hungry." Jiang Xi held his stomach. However, there was nothing edible in the kitchen except for the mutated hen. Since it had mutated, he would not eat it. Who knew what would happen if he ate it? "I saved some potato chips. I'll lend them to you." Jiang Daodu appeared again with 2 bags of potato chips. "They haven't expired, have they?" "They expire tomorrow." Oh, only then did Jiang Xi feel relieved and took the chips. Because Jiang Daodu was used to living a hard life, she liked to save her food. As a result, the food often expired. For example, Jiang Xi vaguely remembered that these 2 bags of potato chips were bought for Jiang Daodu a long time ago. At that time, he was even criticized by Jiang Daodu for spending money recklessly. At this time, the 2 of them were not sleepy anymore. Each of them hugged a bag of potato chips and curled up on the sofa in the small living room, watching a midnight horror movie. "Brother, are there really ghosts? There are even monsters here." "Maybe there are ghosts as well." "It's good if there are really ghosts. I really want to catch 2 of them as pets." Jiang Xi fell silent. A gust of cold wind blew, accompanied by the creepy sound of the movie. Jiang Xi shivered. "Okay, let's go back to sleep. We still have school tomorrow." You're scared, aren't you?" "Bullshit." The next morning, Jiang Xi woke up with dark circles under his eyes. Jiang Daodu, on the other hand, was full of energy. "It's good to be young." Jiang Xi found an excuse for his cowardice. After breakfast, the 2 of them went to the vegetable and fruit wholesale center to buy the vegetables they were going to sell at night. After that, they each took their school bags and went to school. Beishan No. 1, the best high school in Pak Sun province. Jiang Xi was a 3rd-year high school student in Beishan No. 1. When he entered the classroom, his classmates were very excited. They were discussing something in groups of 3 to 5. "Did you see the news last night? The powerhouse who attacked is suspected to be a Class A." "You believe this kind of news?" "I have reliable information. It said that the beast is only a Class C monster." Is there a need for a Class A powerhouse to attack? That's right. Since 30 years ago, when the world's second strongest, Li Bai attacked, Class A monsters no longer dared to invade human cities. Jiang Xi did not join in the fun. He sat in his seat, took out his textbook, and studied quietly. He knew that no matter the era, cultural knowledge was the most important thing. It was the foundation of everything. Even for a martial artist, the first step was to learn cultural knowledge. Otherwise, if an illiterate person was lucky enough to become a martial artist, he was destined to have no future and could not go far. Jiang Xi, aren't you curious about the monster attack yesterday? Zhang Wei, who was sitting next to him, asked. Not at all. I was there yesterday. Jiang Xi smiled. Perhaps it was because he was from another era, but he was a bit of a loner. He rarely communicated with his classmates. The only one he could talk to and call a friend was his deskmate, Zhang Wei. You were there? Quick, tell me, how big was that bird of prey? How strong was it? What was the level of the martial artist that attacked? Zhang Wei raised his voice and asked excitedly in an instant. A few students sitting in front of and behind him gathered around and looked at Jiang Xi with eager eyes. They were all very curious. Jiang Xi glanced at them and said, There's a fish in the northern underworld. Its name is Kuan. It's so big that it can't fit in a pot. If you don't study hard, you're worrying for nothing. Fuck. A few middle fingers were pointed at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi lowered his head calmly and placed his gaze on his book. However, he was thinking about something else. Today is the last day to register for the Martial Science College entrance examination. Right? Chapter 2. Before the self-study session ended, their homeroom teacher, Meng Shanjun, walked into the classroom. Everyone quieted down immediately. Although Meng Shanjun's name had the word kindness in it, he was a very strict person. Very few students were not afraid of him. First, let me announce the results of the Social Sciences mock exam. First place, Jiang Xi, 697 points, ranked first in the year. Second place, Lu Yuanyuan, 663 points, ranked 12th in the year. Jiang Xi appeared very calm. The students were also very calm. Jiang Xi, the top student in social sciences, had dominated the rankings for 3 years in a row. He was used to it. After Meng Shanjun announced the social sciences results, he said, Let me remind you again. Today is the last day of registration for the Martial Sciences College entrance exam. Those who want to register, please come to my office to fill out the application form later. After Meng Shanjun left, the atmosphere in the classroom became lively again. However, not many people were talking about the registration for the college entrance exam, because by this time the capable ones had already registered. The college entrance exam in this era was divided into social sciences and martial sciences. Unlike social sciences, the college entrance exam tested martial arts talent first. Next, social sciences results had to meet the standards. Moreover, the exam would be held a week earlier. It would be held on June 1st counting from today. There was exactly 1 month left. Jiang Xi closed his book and stood up. Class isn't over yet. Where are you going? Zhang Wei asked. Registration. Jiang Xi walked out of the classroom. What? Registration? Jiang Xi, you're taking the college entrance exam? Zhang Wei was stunned and asked in surprise. His shout was heard by everyone in the class. This time everyone was shocked. Everyone knew that Jiang Xi's grades were good, but his body was weak. Last month, when registration for the college entrance exam began, the entire school conducted a martial arts talent survey. The full score for martial arts talent was 100 points. Normal people scored 30 points. At that time, Riverward had only scored 21 points. It was worth mentioning that in the past years, the admission threshold for the College of Martial Arts had always been above 60 points. On the other hand, the requirements for social sciences were lower, with a total score of 750 points. As long as one scored more than 450 points and passed the martial sciences, one would be able to enter the College of Martial Arts. Jiang Xi? Are you kidding me? With that body of his, if he can pass the Gaokao, I'll do a handstand and eat 3 kilograms of shit. Someone mocked. Maybe he just wants to see what the college entrance examination is like. Someone guessed. It's good for him to experience it. Let him know that this era is ultimately the era of martial artists. What's the use of having good grades? When we become martial artists, we'll be above everyone else. At that time, he'll still have to serve us. A classmate who was talented in martial arts sneered. Zhang Xiai had just walked to the door of the classroom when he heard these words. He smiled gently. There would always be people who would hate the top students because of their IQ being crushed. Prepare to tremble, trash. Zhang Xiai strode toward the homeroom teacher's office. After activating the experience panel yesterday, he was determined to walk the path of a martial artist. Although a classmate was mocking him just now, he was right. This era was ultimately the era of martial artists. When the word martial artist was mentioned, people usually thought of strength, glory, and power. They were truly above everyone else. In comparison, ordinary people would spend their entire lives in a small city. They would not be able to see the vast world. He had already walked in this world with difficulty and ordinary for 6 years. In the future, he did not want to be ordinary anymore. A moment later, in Meng Shanjuan's office, when Zhang Xiai proposed to register, Meng Shanjun was also very shocked. There's still a month before the Gaokao. With your body's condition, it's almost impossible to train your martial arts talent in a month. Why don't you spend your time on social sciences? With your good grades, you'll have a bright future if you walk the path of social sciences, Meng Shanjun advised. I have to give it a try, Zhang Xiai said with a smile. You're different from the rest of the class. You're usually very thoughtful. Fine, I won't persuade you. Meng Shanjun smiled as well. He knew about Zhang Xi's family situation. He was a homeless child with a younger sister. His life was very difficult. However, he had never heard Zhang Xiai complain. Instead, he worked even harder. He ranked first in social sciences for 3 years in a row. He was definitely an inspirational role model after Zhang Xiai filled in the application form. Meng Shanjun looked at Zhang Xi's back and shook his head with a sigh. It was common knowledge that martial arts talent could be improved through training, medicinal baths, and other methods to a certain extent. He thought that with Zhang Xi's temperament, if he was born in a rich family and had enough food and gene medicine, he might be able to become a martial arts powerhouse. Unfortunately, with Zhang Xi's current family conditions, his body was too weak. Zhang Xiai returned to the classroom. Under everyone's strange and mocking gazes, he read quietly. However, he was thinking about his martial arts talent. Level, normal, 26100. The full score for martial arts talent is 100 points. I got 21 points last time, which is the same as the initial value shown on the experience points panel. It's obvious that the value behind my level is my current martial arts talent. Moreover, after adding 5 experience points to my level, my physique has improved significantly. This means that my martial arts talent has increased to 26 points. Last year, the minimum requirement for martial arts talent for the College of Martial Arts was 63 points. There's still a month before the college entrance examination. I just need to increase my martial arts talent before then. When I set up my stall at night, I'll ask Uncle Yang about that old hen. After making up his mind, Zhang Xiai put the matter aside for the time being and continued to study hard. At 5:30 p.m., a hectic and fulfilling day came to an end. Unlike the other students, Zhang Xiai did not stay in the classroom for evening self-study. Instead, he picked up his bag and left. The teacher and class monitor did not stop him. Could not be helped. He was good at studying. This was also why many people hated Zhang Xiai. It was obvious that he had less time to study than others, but his results were better. Only Zhang Wei and a few others knew that Zhang Xiai did not attend evening self-study because he had set up a stall to sell vegetables. Zhang Xiai lived in Apricot Garden, a slum area. No one in the class lived there except for him. After Zhang Xiai left, Zhang Wei fell into deep thought, as if he had made a decision. Zhang Xiai sat on the train heading home. Unlike the morning school, there were not many people on the train because he woke up early. The train was especially crowded in the afternoon. The tired people were squeezed by the people around them. They could even fall asleep standing there. Through the window, he could occasionally see some homeless children in ragged clothes. They were all around 10 years old. Why were there no older ones? Because they could not live to be older. Although there were orphanages and orphanages in this era, there were too many homeless children. It was impossible to manage them all. Jiang Xi had specially checked the information. The two spirit qi revivals had changed the Earth's environment greatly. Powerful monsters had occupied the wilderness. Humans were trapped in various cities. The places that truly belonged to humans were even fewer than in the old era. There were a total of 7 prefectures in the Great Xia Kingdom. Pak Sun Province, where he was now, had a population of 300 million people. The population density was very high. The living conditions of ordinary people were far inferior to the old era before the great changes in the world. The re-established social order had been established for 100 years, but it was only in the past 20 years that things had truly settled down. It would take more time to solve the problem of homeless children. After arriving at the station, Jiang Xi collected his thoughts and squeezed out of the train from the crowded crowd. Become a martial artist and live a more exciting life. Jiang Xi was firm in his belief and strode home. It was already 6:30 when he reached home. Jiang Dudu was a little late after school. Jiang Xi did not wait for her. He packed the vegetables he had bought in the morning and brought the things he needed to set up his stall. He went out again and came to a small road near Apricot Garden. Recently, this place had become a fixed spot for mobile vendors to set up their stalls. Little Jiang, over here. From afar he saw his neighbor Old Yang waving. Thank you, Uncle Yang. Jiang Xi ran over and thanked him. He set up his stall at the side. Old Yang had always taken care of him and helped him reserve a spot every day. Haha, don't be so courteous with me. If you really want to thank me, when your college entrance exam is over, you can find some time to tutor my grandson. Old Yang said, no problem. Jiang Xi smiled. He had tutored Old Yang's grandson before. Uncle Yang, which boss gave you that old hen yesterday? Jiang Xi pretended to ask casually. Boss Shen from Shilu Market. He runs a big business and even has a slaughterhouse in Shilu. Are you asking about this because you want to buy some live chickens to sell? I'm still in school. I don't have the energy to deal with live chickens. I just think they taste good, so I asked. Tomorrow is Saturday, so I'm going to buy 2. Old Yang believed Jiang Xi's words and did not ask any more questions. When he was setting up his stall, Jiang Xi did not stop studying. He sat on a small folding stool and focused on his textbook. He only went to greet customers when someone came. Today was not bad. He did not meet someone like Li Matzi who liked to take advantage of others. As Jiang Xi was thinking, he saw Li Matzi walking over from afar, humming a tune and pulling a shopping cart. Xiaojiang, are there any discounts on groceries today? Li Matzi approached the stall and wanted to pick out some groceries. No, there's been inflation recently. The prices have gone up. Jiang Xi shook his head. Little Jiang, don't be so stingy when doing business. Look at Boss Shen from Shilu Market. He gave me an old hen for free. I'm also your regular customer. Why don't you give me something too? I don't want much, just a few pounds of potatoes will do. Li Matzi opened the shopping cart and saw an old hen struggling inside. My business is small. I can't compare with those big bosses. Jiang Xi laughed. How can you do business if you're so stingy? Li Matzi said in a lecturing tone. To be honest, I don't want to do business with you. Jiang Xi's smile did not change. The nearby vendors all laughed. They had more or less been taken advantage of by Li Matzi. Li Matzi snorted. A group of lowly people. They deserved to sell vegetables for the rest of their lives. Then he left with a dark face while everyone was laughing. Jiang Xi just smiled. This was probably his last time setting up a stall. That was why his attitude suddenly became so tough. Since he had decided to walk the path of a martial artist, he could not spend his time setting up a stall to make money. However, Li Matzi's words made him fall into deep thought. Boss Shen from Shilu Market gave Old Yang an old hen for free yesterday. Today he gave Li Matzi another one for free. Was there such a coincidence? Maybe it was not just Old Yang and Li Matzi. So generous? It seemed that there was a problem. Chapter 3. Jiang Dudu wouldn't wake up early on a Saturday morning. Jiang Xi prepared breakfast. After eating, he left a note and went out. Shilu Market was the biggest vegetable and meat wholesale market in Luming district of Pak Sun Province. It only took half an hour to get there from Apricot Blossom Garden. There were a lot of vendors at Shilu Market in the morning, and it was very lively. Jiang Xi also came here to buy food sometimes, so he was familiar with the environment. He walked around the market. When he arrived at the meat wholesale center, he found a shop that was very busy. There were a lot of people queuing up, and each of them had a chicken in their hands. Some of them were already killed and some were still alive. Jiang Xi observed for a long time. The chickens they received from the shop were normal, and there were no signs of mutation. Could it be that he was wrong and it was really a coincidence? But why did Old Yang and Li Matzi both receive mutated chickens? Riverward looked at it for a while more before his eyes suddenly narrowed. He saw a chicken with mutated characteristics. At this time, a middle-aged man with a kind face walked over from afar. The people in the queue immediately greeted him with a smile. Many of them even called him Shan Shanren. Shen's Meat Wholesale, Shen Quan. Jiang Xi's eyes moved slightly and he turned around to leave. He didn't go in to get the chicken. Obviously, the probability of getting a mutated chicken was very low. But the chickens from Shan's Meat Wholesale must have been mixed with mutated chickens. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi walked out of Shilu Market and went west for about a kilometer. There was a sign in front of him. Shun Slaughterhouse. There was an advertisement pasted on the lamppost next to the sign. Looking for full-time and part-time workers. 80 renminbi per day. Daily pay. After reading the content, Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised. His plan was to go to the slaughterhouse and buy some mutated chickens to kill. But he knew that it was very risky. Because the chickens that Shun Quan gave him for free were mixed with mutated chickens. There might be something behind it. Jiang Xi was usually very cautious. If it wasn't for the experience points, he wouldn't take this risk even if he was beaten to death, but now, with the advertisement, he didn't have to take the risk. The scale of the Shun slaughterhouse was not small. There was a lot of work and the turnover of workers was high. From afar, a strong stench of chicken excrement could be smelled. Many workers were holding knives and mercilessly cutting the chicken's neck. After Jiang Xi went in, he directly said that it was a part-time job. The fat lady in charge of recruitment did not ask about his background and arranged a job for him. The fat lady originally wanted to teach Jiang Xi how to kill a chicken, but after seeing Jiang Xi quickly kill a chicken, she nodded her head in satisfaction. Before he left, he reminded him, "You have to kill at least 100 chickens a day. 10 yuan will be deducted for every one less." Skinning. Jiang Xi cursed and began to kill the chicken. In front of him was a pile of live chickens tied up, and next to him was a poultry depilator. Perhaps because they had just settled down, many of the technologies from the old era had not been restored. For example, the Shun clan slaughterhouse was very backward. They did not even have a standard automated chicken slaughtering line. They relied entirely on manual slaughtering. After the workers killed the live chickens, they would throw them into the depilator and clean them up. It was a complete process. In order not to attract attention, Jiang Xi did not specifically look for the mutated chickens. He obediently swung his knife and chopped at the chickens. After killing about 30 chickens, Jiang Xi casually grabbed a live chicken. His eyes lit up. It was a mutated chicken. He raised his hand and swung his knife. "You killed a mutated rooster." Experience +5. The familiar notification sound made Jiang Xi feel that it was very pleasing to his ears. After receiving the encouragement, Jiang Xi became more energetic. He entered a state of selflessness and killed more than 70 chickens in one morning. This caused the fat lady, who occasionally came to patrol, to nod her head continuously. What a great young man. He looked so skinny, but his hands and feet were quite nimble. During lunch, the fat lady was very kind and rewarded Jiang Xi with a big drumstick. Jiang Xi did not dare to eat it. He secretly gave the drumstick to a shy lady beside him, and received 100 favorable impression points. Very quickly a day passed. After 7 o'clock in the evening, the workers all got off work. However, Jiang Xi dragged on for more than 2 hours. He only put down his knife when it was almost 10 o'clock. "Young man, come back tomorrow. I'll give you a raise. 90 bucks a day." The fat lady smiled kindly and counted Jiang Xi's salary for the day. It was 80 bucks in total. He killed more than 200 chickens in a day, and almost broke the Shun slaughterhouse's personal record for chicken kills. Such an excellent worker was worth too. She could not let him go. Okay. Jiang Xi agreed decisively. Money or not, it didn't matter. The main thing was that the experience points he had earned today had given him a taste of the sweetness. Level. Normal. 26100. Experience points. 55 experience points were enough for him to pass the Martial Science College entrance examination. However, he was not satisfied with just this. The slaughterhouse only provided lunch. Although Jiang Xi worked overtime for more than 2 hours, the fat lady did not care about his dinner. Jiang Xi went home hungry and climbed up to the 23rd floor. He was so hungry that he felt dizzy. When he opened the door, he found Jiang Dudu curled up on the sofa and watching television. There was still food on the table. Jiang Xi, you're too much. Look at the time. Jiang Dudu was very angry. Didn't I leave a note? Jiang Xi laughed dryly. Jiang Dudu took out the note and put it in front of Jiang Xi. Said something came up. Come back later. Come back later? That means it's past 10 o'clock? So chaotic outside. What if something happens? Jiang Dudu said with a glare. Just this once. I promise I'll be back before 9 o'clock next time. Jiang Xi smiled apologetically and patted his chest. He was indeed wrong in this matter. He had never come home after 10 o'clock in the past. This era was not like the old era. At night it was not so peaceful outside. Jiang Dudu returned to normal after scolding him. She put a smile on her face again and got up to heat up the food. Vegetables, shredded potatoes, and rice were the most common dishes on their table. During dinner, the two of them smiled happily again. You smell like chicken poop. Where did you go? Jiang Dudu asked. I went to work part-time at the slaughterhouse. 80 yuan a day. Part-time? You're not selling vegetables anymore? I'm not selling anymore. I'm preparing to take the martial sciences exam and become a martial artist. Okay. I'll take out my savings and buy more meat to nourish your body. Hearing Jiang Dudu's words, Jiang Xi smiled softly. Jiang Dudu had never doubted him. No one believed that he could pass the martial sciences exam except for Jiang Dudu. I'll keep the savings to buy a house. I won't withdraw it, Jiang Xi said. Are you stupid? When you become a martial artist, the government will give you a big house. Do you still need to buy one? Jiang Dudu giggled. Jiang Xi was silent. Aren't you afraid that I won't become a martial artist? Jiang Xi shuddered when he thought of Jiang Dudu exploding in anger. Martial artist. I must become a martial artist. The next morning, Jiang Xi went to the Shan slaughterhouse again. After yesterday's experience, he was even faster at killing chickens today. From morning to 8 o'clock at night, although it took more than an hour less than yesterday, he killed almost 300 chickens and gained another 80 experience points. With that, his experience points reached 135 points. Little Lou, I've told the boss that if you're willing to work here long-term, he'll give you 4,000 yuan a month. I'll take care of you too, the fat lady said with a strange look in her eyes as she handed Jiang Xi his daily salary. That strange look sent chills down Jiang Xi's spine. Big sister, I'm still in school. Jiang Xi rejected her with a straight face. After Jiang Xi left, the fat lady sighed softly. What a nice young man. After a while, the boss of the slaughterhouse, Shun Quan, came. He checked the number of live chickens killed in the past 2 days. Then he frowned and said, It's too slow. Hire more workers tomorrow. We must get rid of all these live chickens within 2 months. Before returning home, Jiang Xi bought 100 braised pork knuckles and 20 caddies of fresh lamb from Shilu Market. He had almost spent all the money Jiang Dudu gave him in the morning. Fortunately, he had increased his martial arts talent by 5 points last time. Otherwise, he would not be able to bring back so many things by the time he reached home. He could barely get up. Jiang Dudu was drooling when she saw so many pork knuckles and lamb. Brother, you've spent so much. If you can't become a martial artist, you'll be letting me down. Jiang Dudu said as she gnawed on the pork knuckles. Just wait and see. When I become a martial artist, we'll be able to live in a big house and eat big meals every day. Jiang Xi also grabbed a pork knuckles and gnawed on them. Late at night, 2 bright moons shone in the sky, making the night of this era even brighter. Jiang Xi got up from his bed and opened the experience panel. Level, Normal, 26100, Experience. 135, Then, he focused and silently allocated 5 experience points to his level. To be safe, he did not increase too much at once. The last time he increased 5 points, he was already starving. If he increased it too much, he might starve to death. Sure enough, in the next moment, a familiar feeling appeared. A strange energy spread throughout his body. His muscles tightened, and his breathing became longer. He clenched his fist lightly and his strength increased significantly. With a martial arts talent of 31 points, he finally became a normal person. He was not weak anymore. Soon a strong sense of hunger appeared. Jiang Xi was so hungry that his eyes turned green. However, he was prepared this time. He quickly grabbed the pork knuckles that he had prepared and wolfed them down. After eating a total of 30 pork knuckles, his hunger finally disappeared. Although the system can directly increase my physique, it consumes my own energy. It just so happens that high-calorie meat can provide sufficient energy. After 2 upgrades, Jiang Xi had a preliminary understanding of how the experience panel worked. There's another way. Rich kids usually use gene medicine to increase their physique, because gene medicine contains a lot of active energy. If I have gene medicine, maybe I can increase it more at once. After thinking about it, Jiang Xi shook his head and gave up on this idea. If I increase it too much in a short period of time, it will arouse suspicion. It was fine to use a month to increase it slowly. Although the speed was scary, no one would think too much. This was because there was a student in Beishan No. 1 who increased his martial arts talent from 30 points to 60 points in just 2 months and successfully got into the College of Martial Arts. Chapter 4. New Moon Year 92, May 4th. The weather was sunny and windy. Since the Gaokao was around the corner, the third-year students of Beishan No. 1 High School were all tensed up, trying their best to improve themselves before the Gaokao. Early in the morning, many people were training in the field. Most of them were students who had signed up for the Gaokao. No matter what era it was, the problem of the gap between the rich and the poor was inevitable. Students who came from rich families not only had gene medicine to nourish their bodies, but they also trained in martial arts centers with specialized martial artists to guide them. In comparison, normal students could only improve their physical fitness through primitive methods like running in the field. Jiang Xi changed his clothes in the changing room and joined the running team. He had a habit of doing things. He would either not do it or do it to the best of his ability. Although he had the experience points panel, he could not relax if he wanted to walk the path of a martial artist. He had to make full use of his time. Among the students who were running and training, many of them were Jiang Xi's classmates. When they saw Jiang Xi running, they were all very surprised. However, some of them looked at him with disdain and ridicule. Even a toad has dreams. Can he run 1 round with such a weak body? Jiang Xi ignored them. It was beneath him to argue with them. The final result was the best proof. Half an hour later, Jiang Xi finished 10 rounds. The students who had just finished were silent. 1 round of the track was 400 meters. Students who had the confidence to take part in the Gaokao had better physical fitness than normal people. 10 rounds, even 100 rounds would not be a problem. What about Jiang Xi, though? He was a weakling who could not even finish 2 rounds in PE class. If it were not for his good grades, he would have been hammered 800 times by the PE teacher. Now he ran 10 rounds without stopping. Although this was the standard of a normal person, it was obviously abnormal for River Word. Many people could not believe it. Jiang Xi left the track calmly. He took a quick shower in the changing room, changed his clothes and walked to the classroom. In the classroom, the students who were only taking part in the Gaokao were all working hard. Jiang Xi walked back to his seat, took out his textbook and studied quietly. His deskmate Zhang Wei looked at Jiang Xi from head to toe and said in surprise, "Jiang Xi, I haven't seen you for 2 days. Why do I feel that your complexion has become better? You seem to have grown taller than before?" "Really? Maybe I'm growing taller. And I've been exercising more recently, so it's normal for me to look good." Jiang Xi smiled. His EXP panel had leveled up, and his physical fitness had been enhanced. He was definitely taller than before. She heard from Jiang Xi that he had strengthened his training recently. Zhang Wei's expression changed as he said, "Jiang Xi, don't be in a hurry to leave after school. Let's go to Jinten Budokan for training." "To Jinten Budokan?" Jiang Xi shook his head. I don't have that kind of money. The most basic membership in Jenten Budokan costs at least 100,000 yuan a year. Haha, don't worry. I have an uncle who is a martial artist in Jenten Budokan. He is qualified to train people in the dojo. I mentioned this to him 2 days ago and he agreed. Zhang Wei smiled. Your uncle is a martial artist? Kid, you really hit it well. Jiang Xi was really surprised this time. In this era, martial artists and ordinary people belong to two completely different worlds. Many ordinary people could only see what martial artists looked like on the news for their entire lives. They had no contact with them at all. After being deskmates for 3 years, Jiang Xi only now knew that Zhang Wei's uncle was a martial artist. No wonder Zhang Wei's physical fitness was so good. His martial arts talent had long surpassed the admission threshold of the College of Martial Arts. In the last test, he scored 82 points. He could be ranked in the top 3 among the third-year students in Beishan number 1. With the guidance of a martial artist, as long as one was not too bad, his martial arts talent would not be too bad. He's not my uncle. He's my dad's high school classmate. We're very close, Zhang Wei explained. All right, I won't stand on ceremony. Jiang Xi did not hesitate and agreed immediately. If he continued to decline, it would seem too pretentious. Moreover, he really wanted to receive professional guidance and training. Time flew by. In the midst of intense revision, the bell rang, signaling the end of the school day. None of the students who were preparing for the Gaokao stayed for the evening self-study session. They all went to train. Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei took the train together and rushed toward Jenten Budokan. Jenten Budokan was very famous in this era because it was the largest martial arts school on earth. It was founded by the strongest person on earth, Xian Tian. Jenten Budokan had branches in all the major cities of the 5 Great Nations Alliance and other small forces. Jenten Budokan in Pak Sun Province was located at the edge of the city center. After getting off the train, 3 huge buildings appeared in front of them. Those were the landmarks of Jenten Budokan. Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei checked their identities at the entrance and walked into Jenten Budokan through the 8-lane gate. First, there was a big square. Then there was the martial artist community, the commercial center, the park, and so on. The real martial arts school was the 3 huge buildings. If one looked down from the sky, the entire Jenten Budokan was like a small town. It covered a very large area. In this era where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, such a large area also showed how powerful Jenten Budokan was. Building 1 is the office of Jenten Budokan in Pak Sun Province. Building 2 is where the martial artists usually train and gather. Let's go to Building 3. That's the training center for aspiring martial artists, Zhang Wei said. He led Jiang Xi to one of the giant buildings with ease. At first glance, it was obvious that he came here often. Jiang Xi nodded slightly and carefully observed the huge building in front of him. It was not tall, only 3 stories high. However, when he got closer, he could feel a sense of heaviness, as if a giant beast was crawling on the ground. They walked into the first floor of Building 3. Jiang Xi saw more than 10 young men and women in training uniforms chatting and laughing. There was also a counter in the distance with self-service drinks, fruits, snacks, and other energy-replenishing food on it. The first floor is where everyone rests. The second floor is the normal training center. The third floor is the professional training center for martial artists. Let's go to the third floor, Zhang Wei explained. Zhang Wei, come and have a few drinks. Someone familiar greeted Zhang Wei. No, I'm in a hurry to train. The Gaokao is coming soon. Zhang Wei said with a smile. Good luck. Good luck. I saw Teacher Zhang go up just now. Hurry up and go. The young men were all encouraging Zhang Wei. Jiang Xi smiled lightly. It seemed that Zhang Wei was popular no matter where he went. This was also the reason why he and Zhang Wei could become friends in the 3rd year of high school. They could talk and get along well. When they passed by the second floor, the sound of heavy punches made Jiang Xi's heart tremble. He saw a young man training, punching the strength tester repeatedly. The numbers were all around 800 kilograms. 800 kilograms! I remember that Tai, the boxing champion of the old era, only had this much strength in one punch. This young man is obviously not a martial artist. If he was, how heavy would his punches be? Jiang Xi was secretly shocked. He looked forward to becoming a martial artist even more. Chapter 5. On the third floor of the third building in Genten Budokan, there was a more professional training center. On one side was professional training equipment, and on the other side was the training hall. At this time, many people were training. Xiao Wei, is this the classmate you were talking about? A middle-aged man asked as he walked over. Yes, Uncle Jiang. This is Jiang Xi, Zhang Wei introduced. Hello, Uncle Jiang. Jiang Xi quickly greeted him. On the way here, Zhang Wei had already told him that the middle-aged man in front of him was called Jiang Shang. He was an old martial artist who had been around for more than 10 years. This was the first time Jiang Xi had been in close contact with a martial artist. His first impression of Jiang Shang was that he was steady. He looked ordinary, but there was a hidden explosive force. It was a very contradictory feeling. This was a martial artist? He was indeed unfathomable. Jiang Shang nodded. He frowned slightly when he saw how thin and weak Jiang Xi's body was. However, he quickly returned to normal and said to Zhang Wei, "Go train by yourself. Today is still the strength training. Your strength is a little weak. Try to break through 900 kilograms as soon as possible. Then you can participate in the martial artist assessment." What about Jiang Xi? Zhang Wei quickly asked. Brat, don't worry about your uncle. Just leave it to me. Jiang Shang pretended to kick him. Zhang Wei quickly ran away. He waved at Jiang Xi and walked towards the equipment training area. After that, Jiang Shang did not speak. He carefully looked at Jiang Xi and fell into deep thought. Jiang Xi was very calm. When he saw the change in Jiang Shang's expression just now, he understood. With his current physical fitness, it was possible that any martial artist would look down on him. However, he was already mentally prepared. He just had to be indifferent. Not bad. Your temperament is not bad. No wonder your grades are so good. If you have a good body, you will be very suitable to walk the path of a martial artist, Jiang Shang said. I also want to have a good body. Jiang Xi smiled helplessly. Haha, don't worry, there's still a chance. Since you've decided to take the martial sciences exam, if you can't do it this year, you can try again next year. As long as you're not over 30 years old, there's still hope for you to become a martial artist. Jiang Shang laughed. 30 years old. Jiang Xi shook his head inwardly. He couldn't wait. Obviously, the earlier he became a martial artist, the better. Come here. Let's test your physical fitness first. Jiang Shang took Jiang Xi to the equipment training area. At this moment, Zhang Wei was testing his strength in front of a dynamometer. His feet were slightly apart and then he suddenly punched out. A loud bang was heard. It was as if a sledgehammer had smashed onto the dynamometer. 765 kg. The eye-catching red numbers surprised Jiang Xi. He didn't expect Zhang Wei's strength to be so high. He actually had a deskmate who pretended to be a pig to eat a tiger. Zhang Wei winked at Jiang Xi smugly. What's there to be smug about? Your strength potential should be around 820 kilograms. That's 55 kilograms less. You're so proud of yourself. Hurry up and train. Jiang Shang said with a glare. Zhang Wei chuckled. He didn't leave immediately. Instead, he waited for Jiang Xi to test himself. Little Jiang, go up and punch 3 times with all your strength. Jiang Xi nodded. He stood in front of the dynamometer and took a deep breath. After relaxing his body, he suddenly clenched his right fist and punched the dynamometer 3 times with all his strength. 121 kg, 135 kg, 119 kg. Jiang Xi shook his head. It was a huge blow. The difference was so huge. Next speed test. Run at full speed on the dynamometer. Jiang Shang's expression didn't change. It was obvious that he had expected this. On the dynamometer that was similar to a treadmill, Jiang Xi started running. He gradually increased his speed and only stopped when he reached his limit. 7. 1 ms. It was equivalent to 14 seconds for 100 meters. It was also the most ordinary speed that anyone could achieve. Last, martial arts talent test. The martial arts talent tester was like an upright hibernation chamber. After standing in it, it could scan the body's basic information including blood, muscles, bones, and so on. With a beep, the tester showed the results. Martial arts talent. 31 points, 31 points. Jiang Xi, your martial arts talent has increased by so much? This time, it was Zhang Wei's turn to be shocked. I told you, I've been training more recently. Jiang Xi smiled. What's the situation? Little Wei, tell me. Jiang Sheng was curious. Zhang Wei took a deep breath and said, last month, in our school's martial arts talent test, Jiang Xi scored 21 points. In 1 month, Jiang Xi only used 1 month and his martial arts talent increased by 10 points. Jiang Sheng's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, looks like little Jiang still has potential. Train hard. You won't make it this year. The Gaokao is less than a month away. Stay for 1 more year and try again next year. You'll definitely pass. Wait for 1 more year. Jiang Xi smiled. With the experience points panel, why would he need 1 more year? After the physical fitness test, Jiang Sheng analyzed Jiang Xi. Martial arts talent is the comprehensive performance of the body's data before becoming a martial artist. The most direct data are strength and speed. For example, someone with 80 points in martial arts talent has a strength potential of 800 kilograms and speed potential of 20 meters per second. However, most people's actual strength and speed are different from their potential. Take Little Wei for example. His martial arts talent is 82 points. Logically speaking, his strength should be 820 kilograms, but his strength is 765 kilograms, which is only 95% of his potential. As for you, you're even worse. Your average strength is 125 kilograms, not even half of 310 kilograms. Do you know why? Jiang Sheng asked in the end. Jiang Xi thought for a while and said, it's because of my strength. The strength of my punches is very scattered. Not bad. You have good comprehension skills. Jiang Sheng nodded with a smile. He continued, the strength you mentioned is actually the main data of your body's control. For example, your strength test just now was 121 kilograms, 135 kilograms, and 119 kilograms. The range of fluctuations is very large. This is because the way you punch is very irregular. This shows that your control over your body is very poor. The strength you unleashed is only 40%. Jiang Xi glanced at Zhang Wei, who was training. This guy had unleashed 95% of his strength. The difference was quite big. Jiang Sheng understood Jiang Xi's feelings. He smiled and said, don't compare yourself with him. He has received professional training since he was young. It's normal for his strength to be good. Of course, his comprehension skills in this area are quite good. A normal person's strength is around 60%. Martial artists have undergone training in actual combat, so it's slightly higher. However, there are still very few who can reach 90% and above. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that martial arts talent and physical fitness are one thing, but the ability to exert force and combat ability are another. In the following training, you need to improve not only your physical fitness, but also your ability to exert force. Body control, strength, actual combat, I understand. Jiang Xi understood immediately. After listening to Jiang Sheng's analysis, Jiang Xi felt that coming to the martial arts school to train was the right thing to do. If he only relied on the experience panel to improve his martial arts talent, it would be like he was blind. In the end, he might become a martial artist who had a mountain of gold. Now I'll teach you a set of basic fist techniques. It can improve your current body control and solve your strength problem. I'll let the martial arts school know later. You can come train at any time in the future. Thank you, Uncle Jiang. Jiang Xi quickly thanked him. In the training hall, Jiang Xi changed into his training clothes and watched Jiang Sheng practice the basic fist technique 3 times. After he had a general impression of it, he began to practice under Jiang Sheng's guidance. This set of basic fist technique is the result of a combination of many advanced fist techniques from the Martial Artist Association. It's very suitable for beginners to practice. It looks simple, but it's the foundation of various advanced fist techniques. Jiang Sheng said. Jiang Xi nodded. After practicing a few times, he could already go through the basic fist technique once. However, some of the movements were still not standard. One taught, the other practiced. Jiang Xi learned quickly. Jiang Sheng kept nodding his head as he watched. At the same time, he was surprised by Jiang Xi's comprehension. About an hour passed like this. Jiang Xi started from the first move and practiced again. He thought about the essence of the basic fist technique. This set of basic fist technique was divided into 5 forms and 20 forms. tiger form trained bones, leopard form trained strength, snake form trained chi, crane form trained essence, dragon form trained spirit. Gradually, Riverward had a feeling, and his moves were extremely smooth. Although his body was thin and weak, there was more charm between each move. Jiang Sheng widened his eyes in disbelief. This was the first time he saw someone practicing the basic fist technique. He got started in an hour. Back then, even he had taken more than a week to reach this step. Was he a genius? For the first time, Jiang Sheng had expectations for Jiang Xi. Maybe he really found a treasure. On the other side, after Jiang Xi entered the state, he practiced a set of fist techniques more smoothly than before. After a round of practice, Jiang Xi revealed a smile. Just as he was about to speak to Jiang Sheng, he suddenly froze. You have learned basic fist technique. Experience points +5. Experience points panel updated. Please check it. Jiang Xi's smile became wider. This was an unexpected surprise. It turned out that killing monsters was not the only way to gain experience points. However, what was the panel updated? Chapter 6. Jiang Xi trained in the dojo for 2 hours and left at 8 at night. He had promised Jiang Dudu that he would be home before 9 in the future. He had to keep his word and do what he said. On the crowded train, Jiang Xi closed his eyes to rest and opened the experience panel. Level: Normal, 31100, Martial Technique. Basic Fist Technique, Lesser Mastery 1/10, Force Exertion, 40% Experience, 135. After the update, there were 2 more columns. Martial Technique, Force Exertion. The difference was that there was only a percentage behind Force Exertion. There was no experience value that could be increased. It seemed that it was only used to show the status. As for Martial Technique, Jiang Xi had expectations. He could use experience to increase it directly. With that, there was no need to worry about Force Exertion. When he was training, Jiang Sheng had told him about the difference between the Martial Science College entrance examination and the Martial Artist examination. He emphasized the importance of Force Exertion again. The Martial Science College entrance examination was a selection test. It only tested martial arts talent and targeted students. The Martial Artist examination was much stricter. After passing the Martial Artist examination, one could become a martial artist and have the right to go out of the city to train in the wilderness, fight monsters, and see the vast world. Therefore, martial arts talent became secondary. The main test was strength and speed as well as actual combat in the end. Force exertion is very important. Even if your martial arts talent meets the requirements, if your force exertion is not enough, then the strength and speed you can actually use will not meet the requirements of the martial artist examination. You will not be a martial artist and will have no combat ability. Martial arts talent was the foundation, force exertion was the technique, and martial technique was the way to improve the technique. Jiang Xi understood all this and smiled. The train had just arrived at the station, so he got off and rushed home. Brother, I think there was a burglar in our house, Jiang Dudu said with a straight face when she got home. A burglar? How is that possible? Who doesn't know that Apricot Flower Garden is the slum of Looming District? Burglars come with a smile and leave with tears in their eyes. Then why did you buy less pork knuckles yesterday? Maybe the rats ate them. There are a lot of rats in this district. It's not like you don't know. Haha, it ate 30 pork knuckles in one go. Unless it was a 300 catty rat. Jiang Xi fell silent. He couldn't possibly say that he ate it himself. At that time, Jiang Dudu would definitely laugh at him and say that he was possessed by a hungry ghost. Whenever he thought of ghosts, a faint voice would appear in his mind. He might not be able to sleep at night. Damn it! In the dead of night. Although Jiang Xi was used to the 2 moons in the sky, he still subconsciously looked at the night sky outside the window when he got out of bed. Then he began to improve his martial arts talent. According to yesterday's experience, he prepared 30 pork knuckles this time. However, the result was a little unexpected. This time, after eating 30 pork knuckles, he still wasn't full and was still a little hungry. I can't sleep when I'm hungry. After thinking for a while, Jiang Xi sneaked into the kitchen. Without turning on the lights, he took out the leftover pork knuckles and began to eat them. After eating another 10, he patted his stomach in satisfaction. He was full. With a click, the lights suddenly turned on. Jiang Xiai, I knew it. You're not possessed by a hungry ghost. You're possessed by a 300-catty rat. Jiang Dudu was wearing pajamas and hugging a doll as she stood at the kitchen door. Ahaha. Jiang Xiai laughed dryly. Next time, don't eat secretly. Don't make it seem like I can't afford to feed you. Jiang Dudu pulled a long face and turned to leave. Jiang Xiai shook his head and chuckled. He also returned to his room. Let's try to improve the basic fist technique again. In Jenten Budokan in front of Jiang Shang, Jiang Xiai was cautious and did not try the new function of the panel. The experience panel, like his identity as a reincarnated person, was his biggest secret. He could not let anyone know about it. Increase basic fist technique experience by 5. Jiang Xiai said in his heart. In an instant, Jiang Xiai felt a strong sense of dizziness. His head felt like it was hit by a stick. A lot of information was stuffed into his head. After a while, Jiang Xiai felt that he had returned to normal. The dizziness disappeared. Do you have to be so violent? Can't you be gentler? Jiang Xiai cursed in his heart. Leveling up was the same. He was so hungry that he panicked. Level: Normal 36,100, Martial Arts. Basic Fist Technique, Small Success 6/10, Force Exertion, 52% Experience. 125. Jiang Xiai found that after the 5 experience points increase, the force exertion increased from 40% to 52%. He confirmed that martial arts could increase the force exertion ability. After that, Jiang Xiai stood up and practiced the basic fist technique once. Tiger form, leopard form, snake form, crane form, dragon form. After practicing the whole set, he could clearly feel that the fist technique had become alive. Sure enough, the information just now was my understanding of the basic fist technique. You have practiced basic fist technique 100 times. Experience +1. A notification suddenly sounded in his mind, causing Riverward to be stunned. Practicing for 100 times gave him experience. That works too. That's right. After practicing the basic fist technique for 100 times, there should be some understanding, right? The only thing was that the experience points were a little low. The next day after school, Jiang Xiai and Jiang Wei went to Jenten Budokan again. When Jiang Shang found that Jiang Xi's fist technique had improved significantly, he was very shocked. Jiang Xiai lied and said that he went back last night to practice his fist technique. This made Jiang Shang even more convinced that he had found a treasure. If he gave Jiang Xiai another physical fitness test, he would be even more shocked. Of course, Jiang Xiai would not take the initiative to reveal his true physical fitness. It was important to keep a low profile. When he returned home at night, Jiang Xiai saw a scene that made him feel touched. The table was filled with braised pork knuckles, beef, lamb chops, roast duck and other meat dishes that made people drool. Added together, it definitely cost a few thousand yuan. They were all just bought by Jiang Dudu. With her stingy personality, spending so much money at once must have taken a lot of effort, right? Brother, don't worry and eat. There's enough for you. You eat too. Take good care of your body and become a martial artist in the future. Of course, I will become a martial artist in the future. And I will be better than you. Someone as strong as Li Bai. If you want to be stronger than me, you have to eat more. It was another morning. Jiang Xiai saw the sunlight shining through the window and was in a good mood. It was another day full of hope. After breakfast with Jiang Dudu, he carried his school bag and went to school. Before he left the neighborhood, he found a black law enforcement vehicle parked in the neighborhood. Many people in the neighborhood were gathered around the law enforcement vehicle, discussing something. This made Jiang Xiai very confused. The law enforcement team was a special department that was responsible for cases related to martial artists. They were all made up of martial artists. Why were they here? As he got closer, he heard the discussion around him. It's too tragic. 7 people died in one night. Old Mr. Wang from Block 2 and Li Matzi from Block 9 are both dead. I heard that the family in Block 15 is the most miserable. 5 people and only 1 survived. Jiang Xiai was shocked. Old Mr. Wang? Li Matzi? He was very familiar with these 2 people. They were both famous for being greedy. A few days ago, they seemed to have received free old hens from the Shun family's meat wholesale at Shilu Market. 2 people died at the same time. Was it because of the mutated chicken? Chapter 7. Zhang Xiai was scared. Luckily, his experience panel was activated after he killed the mutated chicken, which allowed him to discover the problem with the mutated chicken. Otherwise, he and Zhang Daodu would have ended up like these people. At this moment he saw a few enforcers in black walking over from afar. Each of them was carrying a black bag. Looking at the shape of the bag, it should be filled with human corpses. Uncle Jiang. Zhang Xiai realized that one of the enforcers was Zhang Sheng. Oh, it's Xiao Jiang. Why are you here? Zhang Sheng saw Zhang Xiai and put the bag of corpses into the enforcer's car. Then he walked over. I live in this district. Uncle Jiang, are you an enforcer? Zhang Xiai asked. I forgot to tell you. This is my official profession. Zhang Sheng laughed. Then have you found out the cause of death of these people? Zhang Xiai asked. Looking at the symptoms of the deceased, many of their blood vessels have burst. They should have taken illegal body-strengthening drugs, something similar to genetic medicine. Zhang Sheng did not hide anything. Zhang Xiai nodded. It seemed that body-strengthening drugs were prohibited drugs. After thinking for a while, Zhang Xiai said, Uncle Jiang, I remember that 2 of these people had received free chickens from the Shan's meat wholesalers in Shilu Market. Oh! Zhang Sheng's expression immediately became serious. He said to Zhang Xiai, wait a moment. I'll call my captain over. Soon, a middle-aged man in his 40s walked over. This man had a determined face. Vaguely, one could see a hideous scar behind his earlobe. Moreover, his gaze made Zhang Xiai feel pressured. This was a gaze that could only be possessed by someone who had gone through countless life and death battles. A very powerful martial artist. Zhang Sheng smiled encouragingly at Zhang Xiai. I'm the captain of Paksun Province's first enforcer team, Lu Shan. Explain the situation in detail to me. Lu Shan said in a deep voice. As soon as he opened his mouth, the pressure immediately disappeared. Zhang Xiai took a deep breath and told him about how Li Matzi and the others had received free chickens, including the general situation of the Shen family's meat wholesale and the Shen family's slaughterhouse. He did not hide anything. Thank you, but from now on don't tell anyone about this, not even your family. Lu Shan said. There won't be any danger, right? Zhang Xi's heart trembled. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have been so nosy. Why are you getting involved in this? Don't worry, Paksun Province is still very safe. Lu Shan nodded. Zhang Xiai fell silent. 7 people had died in the neighborhood. Safe my ass. After the law enforcement team left, the neighborhood became even more lively. Everyone was discussing this matter. There were all kinds of speculations and there were even rumors of ghosts. But no one thought that it was caused by the mutant chicken. Zhang Xiai understood that this was caused by habitual thinking. The news had already spread that the poultry in the city would not mutate, so no one thought in this direction. If it was not for the experience panel, he might have ended up like these people. I originally wanted to go to the Shen family's slaughterhouse on the weekend to harvest a wave of experience, but it seems like I can't go anymore. Zhang Xiai shook his head. He suddenly remembered that when he saw Shan Quan that day, the feeling Shan Quan gave him was very similar to Zhang Sheng's. Maybe Shen Quan was also a martial artist. I have to quickly become a martial artist, or else I won't even have the ability to protect myself. Zhang Xiai suddenly felt a sense of urgency, and he had to move out of this neighborhood as soon as possible because the people in the slums had no sense of existence in this era. It was easy for some criminals to target this place. Zhang Xiai turned around. He originally wanted to comfort Zhang Daodu, but he found that Zhang Daodu was calmer than him. She was looking at the corpses placed by the law enforcement team with great interest. What a carefree little girl. For the next few days, Zhang Xiai was on tenterhooks. He was worried that someone would harm him because of the mutated chicken incident. When no one talked about the deaths of Li Matzi and the others, only then did Zhang Xiai relax a little. It seemed like he was overthinking things. Soon 10 days passed. It was Saturday. There was no class or stall to sell vegetables. Zhang Xiai arrived at Zhenten Budokan early in the morning. At this time there were very few people in the martial arts center. When he arrived at the 3rd building, other than the ordinary training ground on the 2nd floor where a few people were torturing themselves, there was no one on the 1st and 3rd floors. Jiang Xi was the first to arrive just in time. Since there's no one around, I can test my current physical fitness. Jiang Xi walked in front of the strength tester and jumped a few times excitedly to relax his body. Then, his whole body suddenly exploded. He exerted force in his legs and moved his waist. The powerful force was transmitted to his spine. His right shoulder jerked forward and finally, his right fist fiercely hit the strength tester. Bang bang bang. 3 consecutive punches. Very good, the strength is more concentrated than last time. Let's see how much. 678 kg, 680 kg, 682 kg, an average of 680 kilograms. A series of red numbers made Jiang Xi's eyes brighten up. He was in high spirits. Haha, only a little more than a week and my strength has increased from 125 kilograms to 680 kilograms. Let's see how much my speed has increased. Jiang Xi walked to the front of the speed tester. After adjusting his breathing, his upper body leaned forward slightly and he ran with all his strength. His speed became faster and faster, and his hands and feet exerted strength. 22.8 ms. That was equivalent to 4.38 seconds for 100 meters. This kind of speed was unimaginable in the old era. In comparison, because of my body size, my speed is slightly better. This was because Jiang Xi's body had never been fat. He had always been skinny. During this period of time, he had worked hard to eat meat to make up for it and look slightly stronger. Although his figure still looked a little lean, his nearly perfect streamlined body shape and his exposed muscles looked very explosive. In addition, his height had also grown from 1.7 meters to 1.8 meters. Standing there, he was like an upright leopard. Finally, Jiang Xi did not test his martial arts talent. With the experience points panel, there was no need to test at all. Level: Normal, 81,100, Martial Arts. Basic Fist Technique, Unity 1/150, Force Exertion, 84% experience points, 51 these days. He would use the panel every night to increase his level and martial arts. 81 points of martial arts talent had already far exceeded the admission threshold of the College of Martial Arts in the past. Basic Fist Technique had also reached the Unity realm. At the same time, the improvement of his fist technique had also allowed his force exertion ability to improve greatly. 84% force exertion could be considered excellent. Martial arts can be divided into small success, intricate, and unity. My basic fist technique has just reached the threshold of unity. If my fist technique is perfected, maybe my force exertion can reach 100%. However, the experience points are being consumed too quickly. I have to think of a way to get more experience points. Now, practicing the fist technique had become a stable source of experience points. However, practicing the basic fist technique 100 times would only give him 1 experience point. The speed was too slow. Jiang Xi was a little worried. He definitely could not go to Shan's slaughterhouse anymore. Although no one talked about the mutated chicken incident anymore, ever since Zhang Shang and the other law enforcers went to Apricot Flower Garden to take away the corpses of Li Matzi, and the others, Zhang Shang had not come to the dojo. This was also the only thing that Jiang Xi was worried about. To be able to make Zhang Shang a martial artist, so busy that he did not even have time to come to the dojo, it meant that the problem of the mutated chicken was very serious. Chapter 8. Just as he was thinking, he heard footsteps coming up the stairs. Jiang Xi looked over, thinking that it was Zhang Wei, but he realized that it was not him. 2 young men were walking up, talking and laughing. The handsome young man walking in front made Jiang Xi feel that he was familiar. He should have seen him somewhere before. Soon Jiang Xi remembered that he had seen this person in school. Xiao Wei, known as Beishan No. 1, a martial arts genius that only appears once every 10 years. The last time Beishan No. 1 organized a martial arts talent census, Xiao Wei's martial arts talent score was 91 points. In addition, Xiao Wei was the successor of Deer District's Chao's biological group, which was a famous large enterprise. A martial arts genius, rich and handsome, Xiao Wei became Beishan No. 1's most famous student. Although Jiang Xi did not pay attention to such gossip, he could not resist Xiao Wei's fame. He had seen it in the school newspaper a few times, so he had an impression of him. This kind of person should have a specialized training ground at home, right? Jiang Xi was a little confused. Then he shook his head. It had nothing to do with him whether others came to the dojo or not. He just had to be himself. In the training hall, Jiang Xi cleared his mind of distracting thoughts and focused on practicing the basic fist technique. Previously, he would only come to the dojo to train for 2 hours after school. Now that it was the weekend, he had plenty of time to practice his fist technique and increase his experience. However, in public, Jiang Xi deliberately slowed down the speed and strength of his fist technique to prevent others from seeing his fist technique realm. Otherwise, it would be another troublesome matter to explain. In just 10 days, his basic fist technique had reached the unity realm. Anyone who saw it would be shocked. Jiang Xi was practicing when he noticed that someone had walked into the training hall. He looked up and saw that it was Qiao Wei and his companion. Assistant Zhou, this is the sparring partner you found for me? His basic fist technique is not even as good as yours. I asked for a sparring partner on the internet. The internet said that his basic fist technique had reached the nuance realm? I didn't expect it to be so trashy. His strength is weak. Qiao Wei looked unhappy. Recently, the martial artists in his family had gone out for business. There was no one to guide him in his training, so he came to Genten Budokan. He also asked Assistant Zhou to find him a sparring partner. Sparring partner? You are mistaken. I am not a sparring partner. Jiang Xi frowned. These two people were very rude. You are not Liu Debao? Assistant Zhou asked. No. Jiang Xi threw down these two words and turned to walk away. Don't you know that wasting other people's time is a crime? Young Master Qiao, let's wait a little longer. I just remembered that the appointment time is 9 o'clock. It's only 8 o'clock now. Zhou Zhu smiled apologetically. Another hour? Tell that person just now to be my sparring partner. I'll give him 1,000 yuan per hour. Qiao Wei said with a playful expression. His strength is very weak. Zhou Zhu was puzzled. It's good that he's weak. It's fun to fight him. Isn't a sparring partner used as a punching bag? Qiao Wei stared at Jiang Xi in the distance. He suddenly remembered that he had met Jiang Xi before. In Beishan No. 1 senior year, he was a martial arts genius while Jiang Xi was a liberal arts genius. Moreover, Qiao Wei remembered that Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei were very close. On the other hand, he and Zhang Wei had always been in conflict and had competed many times. Using a liberal arts genius as a sparring partner, it should be very interesting. Hurry up, Qiao Wei urged. Assistant Zhou also laughed. He knew Qiao Wei's temper. He did often beat up his sparring partners. However, the life and death of his sparring partner had nothing to do with him. It was fine as long as young Master Qiao was happy. In the distance, Jiang Xi saw Assistant Zhou walking over. He frowned slightly. Is this person done yet? Hey, I'll give you 1,000 yuan. Practice with our young Master Qiao for an hour. Assistant Zhou's bossy tone made Jiang Xi laugh. He laughed and said, Who are you? The time that these two people wasted was enough for him to practice the basic fist technique once. That was 0.01 experience points. What's with your attitude? Do you know the Qiao's biological group? Our young Master Qiao is the only son of the CEO of the Qiao's group. He's also a martial arts genius in Beishan No. 1. It won't be long before he becomes a powerful martial artist. With your strength, your fist technique is a novice and your strength is weak. I'm giving you face by asking you to be young Master Qiao's sparring partner. I'm warning you, don't be shameless. Assistant Zhou pointed at Jiang Xi and said, I'm warning you. Don't point at me. Jiang Xi's face darkened. 10,000 yuan. Jiang Xi, I'll give you 10,000 yuan. Be my sparring partner for an hour. I heard that you used to be a street kid who begged for food. I'll give you 10,000 yuan. Is that enough? Qiao Wei walked over and smiled playfully. Is there something wrong with your brains? Jiang Xi sneered. Stupid beggar, you're asking for it. Before Qiao Wei could get angry, Zhou Zhu scolded and directly attacked, waving his fist at Jiang Xi. Humph. Jiang Xi snorted coldly. His body naturally exerted force and used the leopard form of the fundamental fist technique. His whole body was like a leopard, crouching slightly and then suddenly leaping out. Similarly, he threw out a punch that was filled with anger. Bang! Jiang Xi's speed was even faster. His punch landed on Assistant Zhou's abdomen. At the same time, He tilted his body slightly to avoid the other party's fist. Assistant Zhou screamed as he was sent flying a few meters by Jiang Xi and landed on the ground. Fundamental fist technique of the Unity Realm. Qiao Wei's eyes narrowed slightly. Assistant Zhou's martial arts talent was 72 points, and his fundamental fist technique was close to the minute subtlety realm. To be able to send Assistant Zhou flying with a punch, either his martial arts talent was stronger, or his fist technique had reached the Unity Realm. In Qiao Wei's view, Jiang Xi was obviously the latter. This is more interesting. Qiao Wei was eager to give it a try. Jiang Xi's expression became serious. He knew that it would be difficult to win against Qiao Wei, who had a martial arts talent of 91 points. But the other party was already riding on his face. Would he admit defeat now? Impossible. Even if he was injured, he had to bite off a piece of flesh from the other party. Although Riverward was usually easygoing, he could let it be with a smile on many things. However, only his life and face could not be laughed off. He could not let it go. His life was in front of his face. Unless his life was threatened, he would never lower his head. You don't want to take the money and force me to do it. Qiao Wei laughed as he twisted his neck. You can try. Jiang Xi clenched his fists. Ha! Qiao Wei shouted loudly and stomped on the ground. The explosive force made the high-strength alloy floorboards give off a muffled sound. His speed was very fast. The wind from his fist whistled and arrived in front of Jiang Xi in an instant. It was also a fundamental fist technique of the Unity Realm. He was indeed the Beishan #1 martial arts genius that appeared once in a decade. What arrogance! Jiang Xi sneered. Like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain, he threw out both fists and pounced. Bang bang bang. The two of them exchanged more than 10 punches. Then they used the force to separate. Jiang Xi only felt his arm go numb from the shock. There was a sharp pain in his right shoulder from Qiao Wei's heavy punch. As a result, the strength in his right arm was reduced by half. If they continued to fight, the situation would become more passive. Although Qiao Wei had the upper hand, he was still shocked. Other than Zhang Wei, there was someone in the third year of Beishan #1 who could withstand his full force attack. However, Qiao Wei did not show his shock. Instead, he laughed and said, "You're something. Since you don't want face, I'll let you lie at home until the end of the Gaokao." He was prepared to break one of Jiang Xi's legs, so that Jiang Xi would not be able to take the Gaokao this year. There was no grudge between them. It was just for fun. You're the only one who can do it. Jiang Xi sneered. Qiao Wei. At this moment, an angry shout came from outside the martial arts hall. Zhang Wei had arrived. Come find me if you want to fight. What's the point of bullying my brother? Zhang Wei took off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves. Qiao Wei smiled and said to Jiang Xi, "You're lucky." After that he turned and left. He had sparred with Zhang Wei many times. He was confident that he could beat Zhang Wei, but he was not confident that he could withstand the joint attack of Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei behind him. Zhou Zhu saw that the situation was not right. He quickly got up from the ground and left with a sour expression. Chapter 9. Two shameless things. Zhang Wei cursed at Qiao Wei's back as they left. Jiang Xi grimaced in pain as he clutched his right shoulder. Both his arms were bruised and he could barely feel them. He would remember what happened today. Fortunately, Zhang Wei did not witness his fight with Qiao Wei, saving him the trouble of explaining. Genten Budokan had taken into account that their members might get injured during training. They had specially prepared special healing medicine that was very effective. After applying the medicine, most of the bruises on Jiang Xi's arms were gone in an hour. However, the injury on his right shoulder had shaken his bones. It would take some time for it to heal. It was still throbbing, and his movements were stiff when he lifted his shoulder. Qiao Wei, that bastard. I'll avenge you the next time we meet. Zhang Wei said. No need. You can't beat him anyway, Jiang Xi said with a smile. Fuck, do you have to be so direct? Haha, just you wait. I'll do it myself. You're acting like you're better than me. Jiang Xi remained silent. He would be better than Qiao Wei in a few days. His strength was measured at 680 kilograms. It would take him 2 days to surpass Zhang Wei's 800 kilogram strength. During the weekend, Riverward practiced martial arts at the Xiantian Martial Arts School. He was unlike Zhang Wei, who had been training his strength all this time. From Zhang Wei and Jiang Sheng's point of view, Jiang Xi needed to improve his strength through training. The improvement of his martial arts talent was secondary now. Neither Zhang Wei nor Jiang Sheng expected Jiang Xi to pass the Gaokao this year. They had also suggested many times for Jiang Xi to study for one more year in grade 12 and take the Gaokao next year. With one more year in Jiang Sheng's guidance, Jiang Xi had a high chance of improving his martial arts talent. Jiang Xi always gave vague answers and brushed them off. Everything would be settled when the Gaokao started this year. In addition, Jiang Xi couldn't think of any good way to increase his EXP. He could only practice his fists. With his current speed, he could practice the basic fist technique 500 times a day at full strength, which was 5 EXP usually. There was a limit to the amount of time he had to train. Every day, he could only earn 1 EXP. Maybe it'll be fine after I become a martial artist. However, Jiang Xi understood that what he needed to deal with now was the college entrance examination. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. New Moon 92, June 1st, Saturday. The Gaokao was finally here. When they were having breakfast at home in the morning, Jiang Dudu specially prepared a deep-fried dough stick and 2 eggs for Jiang Xi, which meant 100 points. Brother, I heard that the maximum score for the Gaokao is 100 points. If you eat these, you'll get full marks. You're talking about martial arts talent. In the 70 years of history, the person with the highest score was only 99 points. Be confident. I'm going to get 200 points in the future. If you don't get 100 points this time, how can I face people in the future? Jiang Xi smiled and shook his head. The girl was more confident than he was. Unlike last night in Jinten Budokan, when Zhang Wei and Jiang Sheng were worried that he would be troubled by the Gaokao and comforted him. Zhang Wei, don't be afraid. I don't mind waiting for you in the College of Martial Arts for a year. By then I'll be a senior, huh? Jiang Sheng, don't be discouraged if you don't do well. Just treat it as an experience for next year. As expected, Jiang Dudu is the one who trusts me the most. She's overconfident. However, this time he could really get 100 points. Level, normal, 100-100, martial technique, basic fist technique, combined 50-50, force exertion, 100% EXP 24. In terms of martial arts talent, Jiang Xi had reached 100 points last week. It was worth mentioning that when his martial arts talent reached 100 points that day, Jiang Xi noticed that the skin on his hands had a faint bronze color when he used all his strength. It was hard to see if one did not look closely. Jiang Xi guessed that if this bronze color could cover his entire body, he might be a martial artist. However, he was stuck at this point. He could not level up, nor could he increase his level or experience. It was as if he had hit a bottleneck. This troubled him for a long time. He could only ask Jiang Sheng when he had the chance in the future. As for the basic fist technique, he had maxed it out a few days ago. The combination of the basic fist technique allowed his strength to reach 100%. It could be said that with his current physical fitness, the Gaokao was nothing. Beishan No. 1 High School was the best high school in Paksun Province. There were about 10,000 third-year students there. The number of students who signed up for the Gaokao was also the highest. There were more than 1,000 students. On average, there were 10 students in each class. In other high schools, there were at most a few hundred martial science examinees, while at the very least there were only a handful of them. 8 a.m. More than 1,000 students gathered at the Beishan No. 1 field. The principal of Guangming Peak was giving a speech on the spectator stand. Although his speech was impassioned, not many students listened. Listening to his speech would not increase their martial arts talent. Below the stage, most of the students were chatting. A few of them were silent. I wonder which college of martial arts young Master Chow is going to? How am I going to live if I can't see young Master Chow in the future? A girl said with an infatuated expression. With your looks, do you think young Master Chow will like you? If he wants to, he'll like me. Another girl sneered. Bitch, I dare you to say that again. Who are you calling a bitch? I'm calling you a bitch. The two girls wrestled with each other. They twisted each other's ears, pulled each other's hair, and tore at each other's clothes. The boys nearby watched with bated breaths. After all, there were too few girls among the students. There were a lot of boys nearby, but these two girls were the only ones. Jiang Xi watched with great interest. Although the two girls looked average, their bodies were not bad. After all, they were students who took the martial sciences entrance examination and had trained a lot. Soon their homeroom teacher Lu Hui came to separate them. The melodramatic scene ended. "Student, you're just watching the show. Don't you know how to stop the fight?" Lu Hui suddenly lectured Jiang Xi. "I'm not their father." Jiang Xi smiled. "If you're being unreasonable, I won't be reasonable either." "How can you say that? Who's your homeroom teacher? What kind of students are you teaching?" At that moment, Meng Shanjun walked over. "I'm his homeroom teacher." "Old Lu, don't cause trouble at this time," Meng Shanjun said with a straight face. He was strict with his students, but he was very protective of them. Lu Hui's expression darkened. Both of them were Beishan #1 celebrity homeroom teachers. They had taught many good students. For example, in this year's senior year, the martial arts genius Chao Wei was Lu Hui's student. The martial arts genius Zhang Wei, who was second only to Chao Wei, was Meng Shanjuan's student. Therefore, the two of them competed with each other a lot and did not treat each other well. "I was wondering who it was. Old Meng, do you want to bet on the results of the Gaokao? Let's see whose class has the highest martial arts talent. The loser will enroll students in the second half of the year and give the loser 3 good martial arts seedlings. How about that?" Lu Hui suddenly said with a smile. "Boring. Not interested." Meng Shanjun shook his head. He was not stupid. It was a losing game. 2 months ago, Chao Wei's martial arts talent was already 91 points. It must be higher now. Zhang Wei, who had the highest martial arts talent in his class, only scored 84 points in the test a few days ago. "Teacher Meng, don't be a coward. Bet with him," Jiang Xi suddenly said. Chapter 10. Meng Shanjun was speechless. Was this his student? If not for the fact that Jiang Xi was a liberal arts genius, he would have punched him. "Old Meng, look at how confident the students in your class are. You should learn from them." Lu Hui smiled and looked at Jiang Xi with praise. Riverward ignored him. Using the method of praising others to ridicule others, this kind of person was a slut. "Don't kick up a fuss." Meng Shanjun glared at Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi laughed and pulled Meng Shanjun to the side. Under his puzzled gaze, Jiang Xi quietly reached out and clenched his fist. In an instant, a faint bronze color appeared. If one did not look closely, it would be difficult to see. However, Meng Shanjun saw it clearly. His eyes widened and he was so shocked that he could not speak for a long time. Ultimate perspective martial artist. It meant that the body of an aspiring martial artist had shown signs of a martial artist. This kind of person could participate in the martial artist assessment at any time and become a martial artist. A person with martial arts talent who met the requirements would not necessarily become a martial artist. However, an ultimate perspective martial artist could definitely become a martial artist. When did Jiang Xi become so powerful? He remembered very clearly that 2 months ago, Jiang Xi's martial arts talent was 21 points. An ultimate perspective martial artist's martial arts talent was at least 95 points. Could it be? Meng Shanjun thought of something in surprise. A few years ago, there was a student in Beishan #1. In just 2 months, his martial arts talent increased from 30 points to 60 points and was successfully admitted to the College of Martial Arts. Jiang Xi's situation was similar, but the increase was greater. However, it was not impossible. It's similar to the awakening of a mutated creature. Meng Shanjuan's breathing became rapid. He was too excited. "Teacher Meng, calm down. You still have to make a bet with others." Jiang Xi gave him a look. Meng Shanjun quickly nodded. After he calmed down, he walked with Jiang Xi to Lu Hui. "Old Lu, there are no cowards among the teachers and students of Beishan #1. I'll bet with you, but the conditions have to be changed. The loser will have to give the loser 10 martial science students in the second half of the year." Meng Shanjun said. Lu Hui was surprised at first. He glanced at Zhang Wei, who was not far away. Could it be that Zhang Wei's martial arts talent had suddenly improved greatly? However, He immediately thought of Qiao Wei's martial arts talent test a few days ago and smiled confidently. So be it. I'll win in the end anyway. Let's wait and see. Meng Shanjun didn't even look at Jiang Xi. He turned around and went back to the front of the line. Jiang Xi snickered. Elder Meng was not that old-fashioned. Zhang Wei leaned over and whispered, "What did you say to old Meng?" He actually dared to bet with Qiao Wei's form teacher. You'll know when the Gaokao starts. Stop being so mysterious. Jiang Xi smiled and changed the topic. Are you sure you want to apply for Sunshin Budo Academy? Isn't Hokuzen Budo Academy good? We'll still be classmates then. What classmate? When you get into the College of Martial Arts, I'll be your senior. Zhang Wei smiled proudly. Haha. Jiang Xi laughed coldly. Zhang Wei was silent for a while. Then he said, Hokuzen Budo Academy is too close to home. I like freedom. Also, Sunshin Budo Academy is located in Shuntian Prefecture, the capital of Wuxia Kingdom. There are many more martial arts powerhouses there than in Paksun Province. Only by being in the company of powerhouses can I become stronger. Jiang Xi remained silent. He understood the hidden meaning in Zhang Wei's words. Zhang Wei wanted to persuade him to go to Sunshin Budo Academy. The 7 prefectural cities of Wuxia Kingdom, Shuntian Prefecture, Luocheng Prefecture, Shushan Prefecture, Paksun Province, Chang'an Prefecture, Zhanghai Prefecture, and Southern Green Prefecture. The 4 College of Martial Arts, Sunshin Budo Academy, Shushan College of Martial Arts, Hokuzen Budo Academy, and Luocheng College of Martial Arts. Other than Chang'an Prefecture, Zhanghai Prefecture, and Southern Green Prefecture, which did not have a College of Martial Arts, the other 4 prefectural cities all had one. However, no matter how strong or weak the other prefectural cities and College of Martial Arts were, Jiang Xi had chosen Hokuzen Budo Academy a long time ago. Because in this world, wherever Jiang Dudu was, that was where his home was. The two of them had depended on each other for 6 years, and were already used to each other's existence. Jiang Xi found it hard to imagine how Jiang Dudu would continue living if he wasn't here. Therefore, he could not run to Shuntian or other prefectural cities like Zhangwei. After a while, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. The principal of Guangming Peak finally finished his speech. On the field, the martial science candidates were already complaining. After that, more than 1,000 martial science candidates and their leading teachers took the train to Kitasamfu Martial Artists Association. The Gaokao would be held there. Kitasamfu Martial Artists Association was under the Wuxia Kingdom's Martial Artists Association. It was responsible for managing and supervising all matters related to martial artists in Paksun Province. It had a lot of power. It took less than an hour to get there from Beishan No. 1 by train. 10 o'clock in the morning. More than 10,000 martial science candidates from various high schools in Paksun Province stood neatly in the big square in front of the Martial Artists Association. 3 middle-aged men in black martial artist combat uniforms walked up to the high platform in front of the square. Jiang Xi's eyes moved slightly. He saw Lu Shan, the leader of Paksun Province's first law enforcement team. Lu Shan was the one who led the team to deal with the death of Li Matzi and the others. At that time, Lu Shan gave him the impression that he was very strong, as if he had gone through countless battles. Now, however, Lu Shan was standing behind the square-faced middle-aged man. It was obvious that the square-faced middle-aged man was stronger. The square-faced man is the president of Kitasamfu Martial Artists Association, He Chongxing. He's the only grade A martial artist in Paksun Province. Zhang Wei said in a low voice. Jiang Xi was shocked. Grade A martial artist. During this period of time, he had been training with Jiang Shang in Jenten Budokan. He had a general understanding of the division of martial artists' strength. Official martial artists were divided into Grade A, Grade B, Grade C, Grade D, Grade E, and Grade F. Grade A martial artists were the strongest. It was said that they could withstand the power of a nuclear explosion. The one on the left is the head of the Law Enforcement Bureau, Chan Yuan. He's also the head of the Jenten Budokan, Paksun Province. His strength is unknown. The one on the right is the leader of the first law enforcement team, Lu Shan. He's a Grade C martial artist. He's also from Jenten Budokan. However, he's the deputy head. I've seen him a few times. Zhang Wei smiled. Why are they all from Jinten Budokan? Zhang Xi realized the problem, the result of a power struggle. Zhang Wei only said one sentence and did not dare to continue. Zhang Xi thought about it and understood the meaning of this sentence. Kitasamfu Martial Artists Association had 3 powerful departments: the Martial Artists Law Enforcement Bureau, the Martial Artists Supervision Bureau, and the Martial Arts Affairs Bureau. Whoever was in charge would be able to obtain more martial artist resources. The martial artist forces in Pak Sun Province were led by Jinten Budokan and Tsukishin Budokan. Since the Martial Artists Law Enforcement Bureau was under the control of Jinten Budokan, one of the remaining Martial Artists Supervision Bureau and Martial Arts Affairs Bureau must belong to Tsukishin Budokan. This way the two could keep each other in check. However, the Martial Arts Affairs Bureau was very complicated. It had the nature of running errands and did not have as much power as the Martial Artists Supervision Bureau. Therefore, Tsukishin Budokan was most likely in charge of the Martial Artists Supervision Bureau. As for the remaining Martial Arts Affairs Bureau, it must be under the control of the other martial artist forces. Zhang Xi shook his head and smiled. He thought, if I'm not wrong, He Chongqing, who is in charge of the Martial Artists Association, must be from the Wuxia Kingdom. He controls 3 departments: balance, restraint, the wisdom of the ancestors for thousands of years. It was not outdated in any era. Chapter 11. The plaza in front of the Kitasamfu Martial Artists Association. More than 10,000 martial science candidates were unusually excited. They talked non-stop, making the entire plaza noisy. Silence! He Chongqing, whose face was cold and dignified, shouted loudly. His thunderous voice drowned out the discussion of the 10,000 martial science candidates. Everyone's attention was drawn to him. I'm He Chongqing. I've looked at your application forms and information. You're just like the previous candidates. You're terrible. People like you, once you're on the battlefield or in the wilderness, you'll just be throwing your lives away. The only bright spot is that someone from Beishan number 1 has a martial arts talent of more than 90 points. On the path of martial arts, success lies in striving to be first, but perseverance is also important. I only hope that those with good talent will not be arrogant, and those with average talent will not give up. One day, you'll become martial artists and become a force to protect humanity. He Chongqing's words were standard. Coupled with his status as a powerhouse, he stirred up the emotions of all the martial science candidates. Everyone's eyes shone with yearning. Lastly, I have good news for all of you. From this year onwards, the 4 College of Martial Arts will be recruiting. It used to be 4,000, but this year it'll be double. We'll be recruiting 8,000. So don't give up. Even if you don't get into the College of Martial Arts this year, you'll still have a chance next year. Now, I announce that the New Moon 92 Martial Science College entrance examination begins. He Chongqing's words made everyone even more excited. Recruiting. In the past, the minimum requirement for admission was martial arts talent of more than 60 points and liberal arts scores of more than 450 points. From this year onwards, the standard would be lowered. Most of the martial science candidates present had martial arts talents of more than 50 points. A small number of them had martial arts talents of more than 40 points. Most of them were here to experience the atmosphere of the College of Martial Science College entrance examination to prepare for next year. They did not have much confidence in the beginning, but now they were looking forward to it. After the expansion, how much would the number of martial sciences examiners drop? 50 points? 40 points? 30 points? Perhaps they would not have to wait until next year. They could get into the College of Martial Arts this year. On the path of martial arts, success lies in striving to be first. Entering the College of Martial Arts a year earlier meant that he would be able to obtain more resources. Zhang Wei glanced at Zhang Xi. His meaning was obvious. Your chance is here. Previously, he and Zhang Shang did not think that Zhang Xi would be able to pass the Gaokao this year. That was why they never tested Zhang Xi's martial arts talent. However, Zhang Wei knew that Zhang Xi's martial arts talent had increased by 10 points last month. Now that another month had passed, he might have already reached 40 points. There was a great chance. Zhang Xi, on the other hand, was very calm. Can I take the path of expansion? It was too degrading. On the square, there were 10 martial path talent testing devices that were similar to hibernation chambers, lined up in a row. More than 10,000 martial science examinees were divided into 10 teams and tested one after another. Beishan No. 1 martial sciences examinees formed a separate team because there were more than 1,000 of them. A black-clothed enforcer was sitting in front of the testing machine. It was impossible to cheat in this kind of test. Under the test of the martial path talent testing device, one score would be exactly what it should be. Moreover, the enforcers were all martial artists. With a martial artist as the invigilator, who would dare to cheat? The boss of the martial artists in Pak Sun province was watching from above. Unless they had a death wish. Zhang Ermao, martial path talent 57 points. The enforcer entered the score into Zhang Ermao's personal file expressionlessly. If there was no expansion, the examinees who received this score would definitely feel uneasy and dejected. But now yay! Zhang Ermao shouted excitedly. Silence! Don't delay the next examinee. The enforcer in black frowned and shouted. Zhang Ermao's face paled. He quickly left the testing machine and returned to the gathering point of Beishan No. 1. The testing went on very quickly. 1 person per minute. 2 hours later, about 150 examinees from Beishan No. 1 had been tested. Jiang Xi realized that there were very few people whose martial arts talent exceeded 60 points. Out of 100 people, there were only about 5 according to the admission standards of the College of Martial Arts in the past. Only those with martial arts talent above 60 points would have a higher chance of becoming a martial artist. Now that they're expanding and lowering the standards, could something have happened? Since he had nothing to do, Jiang Xi started to let his imagination run wild. At this rate, it would take about a day and a night to test until tomorrow morning. There would be no food in between. However, those who had the ability to take the martial sciences exam were all in good health. They could endure it. Moreover, if they could not even endure this little hardship, how could they become a martial artist? Soon 2 bright moons shone in the sky. The double moonlight was like 60-watt light bulbs, shining brightly on the ground. Jiang Xi took out a pig's knuckle from his bag and started munching on it. It was not because he was hungry but because he was used to it. In the past month he had to eat pig's knuckle every day at this time because he needed to replenish a large amount of energy to increase his martial arts talent. Although his martial arts talent was maxed out, it had become a habit. At this point, he would feel uncomfortable if he did not eat at least 1 or 2 pig's knuckles. The sound of people swallowing their saliva rose and fell. Longing gazes gathered on Jiang Xi. Everyone's thoughts were, fuck, this examinee is out of this world. He actually brought food. Didn't the teacher forbid it? The teacher said before that the college entrance examination is not only about martial arts talent, but also about perseverance and willpower. I didn't believe him. Smells so good. I want to eat it. Jiang Xi chewed on it calmly. It's your fault for not preparing to eat. Jiang Xi will go through thick and thin together. Zhang Wei walked closer. Don't worry, I'm prepared. Jiang Xi took out a packaged pig's knuckle from his bag. Good brother. Zhang Wei's eyes lit up and he started chewing as well. On the high platform of the square, He Chongqing found that there was a commotion in the North Mountain First High School's queue and frowned. Lu Shan saw it too. He chuckled. This kid is interesting. In his impression, Jiang Xi was obviously someone who was afraid of death. He did not expect him to take the college entrance examination. It had been many years since someone dared to bring food in the college entrance examination. Therefore, he whispered something to He Chongqing and Chen Yuan. He Chongqing nodded. He knew about the mutated chicken incident, but he would not pay too much attention to it since the Enforcer Bureau could handle it. Chen Yuan smiled too. Since he was his friend, he would turn a blind eye to it. Dawn. Jiang Xi finally saw the martial arts talent testing machine clearly. It was his class turn soon. Lu Hui's class was taking the test. Lu Hui stood beside the invigilator with his head held high. He was very confident and proud. He Chongqing, the president of the Martial Arts Association, had praised his student in front of everyone. It was Qiao Wei's turn next. Qiao Wei walked forward with a faint smile on his face. Many girls nearby looked at him with admiration and admiration. Qiao Wei. 93 points in martial arts talent. Even the enforcer raised his voice. There was a loud boom. Everyone could not stay calm. Although they had heard that Xiao Wei's martial arts talent was over 90 points, it was even more shocking to see it with their own eyes. Xiao Wei finally showed a proud expression. When he passed by Zhang Xiai and Zhang Wei, he snorted disdainfully. "You two trash can only see my back. It was like this before, it is like this now, and it will be like this in the future." After saying that, he walked away. The girls were infatuated again. "So cool, so handsome. Fuck. What's with the pretense?" Zhang Wei was furious. He felt that even his pork knuckles were tasteless. Zhang Xiai, on the other hand, was calm. He smiled. "If a dog bites you, can you bite it back?" Chapter 12. When a golden arc rose from the horizon, the sun was about to rise. Meng Shanjun led his students to the testing machine. They bumped into Lu Hui, who was about to leave. "Old Meng, I'll be waiting for your 10 martial science students," Lu Hui said with a proud smile. Xiao Wei's high score made him proud. Meng Shanjun walked past him expressionlessly, ignoring him. "I'll kick you in the face when the results are out." "Next," the enforcer shouted without even raising his head. Zhang Wei hurriedly walked into the martial arts testing apparatus. Soon, with a soft beep, the test was over. Zhang Wei, 84 points in martial arts talent. The enforcer looked at Zhang Wei in surprise. This was the second highest score in the history of the Gaokao. Zhang Wei walked down calmly. He did not go to the gathering point of Beishan number 1 immediately. Instead, he waited for Zhang Xiai to take his test. In the distance, Lu Hui did not leave either. He wanted to wait for Meng Shanjuan students to finish their tests. When he saw that Zhang Wei only scored 84 points, he smiled. He knew that this was the best student in Meng Shanjuan's class. He won again. Next, Zhang Xiai walked into the testing machine with steady steps. Beside him, Meng Shanjun could not help but feel nervous, even though he knew that Zhang Xiai was a potential martial artist. He clenched his fists. The machine's scanning light scanned Zhang Xi's body, and the final result was revealed. Beep 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 beep. Different from all the previous prompts, a series of rapid sounds accompanied by a flashing red light sounded on the martial arts testing apparatus. The enforcer's eyes widened. His breathing was as rapid as the beeps coming from the testing machine. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Zhang Xiai, Zhang Xiai, 100 points in martial arts talent." In the end, he could not help but turn up the volume to the maximum. With his strength, his voice could be heard in the entire square. Silence. There was only the sound of breathing left in the noisy square of the Warrior Association. A figure, like lightning, left behind an afterimage on the spot and suddenly appeared in front of Riverward, who had yet to walk out of the testing apparatus. He Chongxing. In the blink of an eye, he had crossed over 100 meters. So fast. Zhang Xiai was shocked. If this kind of person wanted to kill him, he wouldn't even need to lift a finger. Only then did everyone recover from their shock and exclaim in surprise. 100 points. Did I hear wrongly? There must be something wrong with the tester. In the 70 years of history of the Martial Science College entrance examination, there has never been a martial arts talent with 100 points. The highest was 99 points. That student is so skinny, and his thighs are not even as thick as my arms. His martial arts talent is definitely not that high. There's something wrong with that testing machine. The square was in an uproar. Silence. He Chongxing shouted, stunning everyone. His gaze was extremely sharp, like an eagle searching for food. He glanced around and then locked his gaze on Zhang Xiai, as if he could see through Zhang Xi's body. Test again, He Chongxing said. The enforcer was stunned for a moment and quickly started the test. Half a minute later, the tester flashed red again. Beep beep beep. Test again. Beep 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 beep. Test again. Beep 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 beep. Zhang Xiai suddenly realized that he was like a lab rat being watched by everyone. Test again. Beep 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 beep. In the end, he tested 10 times in a row. He Chongxing was silent, and no one in the square dared to speak. Zhang Xiai felt uneasy and did not dare to come out of the tester. Did he overdo it? Did he attract too much attention? Was he really going to become a lab rat and be dissected? Damn it, if he had known earlier, he would have saved his strength and increased his martial arts talent to 80 points. The rising sun symbolized beauty, but Jiang Xi was very nervous. It was not beautiful at all. He Chongqing suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed. His voice was like rolling thunder, resounding throughout Pak Sun province. The heavens are helping Great Xia. The heavens are helping mankind. Ha 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 ha. Everyone was shocked by this voice and they were extremely shocked. It was as if they were witnessing something. Could a martial arts talent of 100 points make a Class A expert so excited? Jiang Xi blinked. From the sound of it, it was not a bad thing but a good thing. You're Jiang Xi? He Chongqing had a kind smile on his face as he looked at Jiang Xi. Yes. Good, I'll remember you. After He Chongqing finished speaking, his body flashed, and the wind whistled. The next moment he disappeared. What did that mean? Remember me? It felt like a declaration of an enemy. Jiang Xi immediately felt the pressure double as it pounced on him from all directions. It was very heavy. He regretted it. He should not have increased his martial arts talent to 100 points. Jiang Xi regretted it, but the others did not think so. They all stared at Jiang Xi as if they were looking at a gorilla in a zoo. Jiang Xi, did you eat an elixir? Zhang Wei walked around Jiang Xi 3 times, touching him up and down. Finally, he grabbed Jiang Xi's arm and bit it. Are you a fucking dog? Jiang Xi quickly dodged. Let me try to see if it's the flesh of Tripitaka. Zhang Wei laughed. Although he did not know how Jiang Xi did it, he was sincerely happy for Jiang Xi. The enforcer in charge of the test did not rush Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei when he saw them fighting. He Chongqing's actions just now. Jiang Xi in front of him was a master. After a while he said that, Jiang Xi, the test is still going on. Jiang Xi quickly apologized and walked to the side with Zhang Wei. He saw their homeroom teacher, Meng Shanjun, standing next to them. He was still in a daze. Teacher Meng? Jiang Xi called out softly. Meng Shanjun came back to his senses. He took a deep breath and said with a complicated expression, Jiang Xi Zhang Wei, thank you. I'm proud of you. He felt that his face was especially bright now. You're too kind, teacher. We should be the ones thanking you. Jiang Xi and Zhang Wei looked at each other and smiled in the distance. Qiao Wei and Lu Hui had the same ugly expression. They could not believe what had just happened. Something must have gone wrong somewhere. Especially Qiao Wei. He clearly remembered that he had completely suppressed Jiang Xi during their fight half a month ago. What had happened in just half a month? Due to the commotion caused by Jiang Xi, the Martial Science College entrance examination was paused for a while before it resumed. However, the beeping sound was still echoing in everyone's minds. Jiang Xi's 100 points were destined to be imprinted in their minds forever. The Martial Science College entrance examination only ended at 10 in the morning the next day. It had been exactly 24 hours since 10 in the morning the day before. Everyone was hungry and a little dispirited. Only a small number of people with martial arts talent over 50 points were still in good spirits. Since the 4 College of Martial Arts had doubled the enrollment, they only needed to score 450 points in the Arts College entrance examination, a week later to enter the College of Martial Arts. Then, they would become martial artists under the training of the College of Martial Arts. The total score for the Arts College entrance examination was 750 points. 450 points was a piece of cake. Many people were looking forward to it. They looked at the sun with hopeful eyes. Suddenly, the aroma of braised meat wafted through the air. Everyone's gazes gathered. Jiang Xi took out 2 pork knuckles from his bag. He stuffed one into his mouth and tossed the other to Zhang Wei. Fuck! How many pork knuckles did he bring? He's not done yet. Chapter 13. After returning to Beishan No. 1, more than 1,000 examinees were dismissed on the spot. Before Jiang Xi went home, he made an appointment with Zhang Wei to meet him in Zhenten Budokan in the afternoon. Although the Gaokao had ended, the path of martial arts was still long. He could not relax for even a moment. Luming District's apricot garden had been renovated many times over the past 100 years. Jiang Xi stood at the bottom of the building and looked at the dilapidated tube-shaped buildings. They were arranged closely together and the distance between the buildings was small. Some of the lower floors could not see the sun all year round. This was the largest slum in Luming district. Instinct told Jiang Xi that he might not be able to stay here for long. When he thought of this, Jiang Xi laughed heartily and attracted a lot of attention. Then he went upstairs quickly. His face was not red and he was not out of breath. Soon he reached the 23rd floor. Unlike before, it took at least 10 minutes to go upstairs. When he reached the door, he could only walk with his hands on his waist. Little Jiang? It's been a long time. You're not selling vegetables anymore? He bumped into old Yang at the top of the stairs. I'm not selling anymore. I'll focus on preparing for the Gaokao next week. Jiang Xi said with a smile. Then you have to work hard. When the time comes, our apricot garden will have a university student. Let us bask in the glory. Wash away the bad luck of apricot garden. Old Yang sighed. Thanks, Uncle Yang. I'll take your blessings. But from what you said, did something happen in apricot garden recently? Sai, it's nothing. Ever since Limatzi and the others died, our apricot garden has not been peaceful. More than 60 people died. I'm afraid it's haunted. Jiang Xi was shocked. So many people died again? Why did he not hear about it? Was it because of the mutated chicken? After so long, the enforcement team should have dealt with it, right? Uncle Yang, why didn't I hear about it? Those men in black came in the middle of the night and took them away. They made their family members sign confidentiality agreements. Don't tell anyone. It was still the mutated chicken. Jiang Xi confirmed his guess and said to old Yang, Uncle Yang, don't eat chicken for a while. Chicken? Why would I eat chicken? My family has never liked it. That's good. Old Yang went downstairs with his men on his back. Before he left, he said, be careful outside. Tell Daodu to be careful too. It's not easy. Jiang Xi's heart was heavy. For the past half a month, he had been busy training and practicing martial arts. He had even thrown the mutated chicken to the North Pole. When he was training in Genten Budokan, Zhang Sheng had never mentioned this to him. He was too careless. It seemed like he would have to be more cautious in the future. If even the law enforcers were unable to resolve this matter after such a long time, there was bound to be something huge behind it. He was a piece of trash who wasn't even a martial artist. He might have been killed by mistake. After all, he was the one who told the law enforcement team about the mutant chicken. When he got home, Jiang Xi was still thinking about this problem. He was so distracted that he almost bumped into Jiang Dudu. Brother, don't be discouraged if you didn't do well. I won't blame you. We'll come again next time. Jiang Dudu patted Jiang Xi's shoulder. Jiang Xi came back to his senses and smiled. How do you know that I didn't do well? 100 points is good enough. You've been shocked silly. Jiang Dudu sighed. Look, what's this? Jiang Xi took out the Martial Sciences College Entrance Examination Report card, given by the Martial Arts Association. It was a piece of paper the size of a palm. On it was written name, Jiang Xi age 18 school, Beishan number 1 martial arts talent. 100 points. It was stamped with the red stamp of the Martial Arts Association. It was officially certified. Jiang Dudu snatched it away and stared at it for a long time. It's really 100 points. It's the real deal. Roar. I knew it. I, Jiang Dudu, am such an excellent person. How could my brother be a piece of trash? Jiang Xi was silent. He was already used to Jiang Dudu's way of speaking. Then when she saw Jiang Daodu's elated appearance, she revealed a happy smile. In the past month, Jiang Dudu was not as skinny as before because of the improvement in her diet. She finally looked a little cuter. Unlike before when she was like a soybean sprout. When he thought of the mutated chicken hidden in apricot garden, Jiang Xi's desire to move out of the neighborhood grew stronger. It was too unsafe here. There wasn't even a guard. With his current strength, he was naturally not afraid of these things. However, Jiang Dudu was different. It would be troublesome if they really met a criminal. When he arrived at Genten Budokan in the afternoon, Jiang Xi put this matter aside for the time being. He still prioritized improving his strength. When he became a martial artist, the government would give him houses. These problems would be solved easily. In addition, he had already mastered the basic fist technique. He needed to look for Jiang Sheng to learn some martial arts techniques with strong attack power. He was lucky today. When he arrived at the third floor of the third building in Jinten Budokan, he saw Jiang Sheng's figure. Not only Jiang Sheng, but what surprised Jiang Xi was that Lu Shan was also there. Zhang Wei, on the other hand, stood aside obediently and stopped training. Haha, Xiao Zhang, our great genius, you're finally here. Jiang Sheng's eyes were as bright as lamps as he laughed loudly. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. Then he realized something. When Jiang Xi came closer, Jiang Sheng smiled at Lu Shan and said, Deputy Dojo Master, I've told you before. This kid is not ordinary. Full marks for martial arts talent. Even in my dreams, I never thought that I would personally guide and train such a genius. Lu Shan also smiled and said, Jiang Xi, on behalf of Jinten Budokan, I would like to invite you to join us. Our Jinten Budokan has many martial artists and abundant cultivation resources. It is the world's largest martial arts dojo. The dojo master, Xian Tian, is the world's #1 martial artist. Joining us is definitely the best choice. What do you think? Jiang Xi was stunned. Join Jinten Budokan? Aren't only martial artists allowed to join Jinten Budokan? Haha, that's for ordinary martial artists. With your martial arts talent, becoming a martial artist is only a matter of time. Lu Shan laughed loudly. Then he asked, oh right, speaking of martial artists, since your martial arts talent is 100 points, as long as your strength is more than 90%, your physical fitness will meet the requirements of the martial artist assessment. What is your current strength? 100%. Oh, 100%, then your strength is 1,000 kilograms, enough. What? How much? Lu Shan was so shocked that he sat up straight. Beside him, Jiang Sheng and Zhang Wei were also so shocked that their mouths were wide open. 100%. Jiang Xi repeated calmly. Hiss. 3 gasps of cold air could be heard. Quick, Jiang Sheng, let little Jiang test his strength, Lu Shan said hurriedly. In contrast, Jiang Xi was not so excited. He stood in front of the strength tester and took a deep breath. His back was slightly arched and then he suddenly clenched his fist. Like a cheetah about to pounce on its prey, he threw out 3 consecutive punches. 999 kg, 1001 kg, 1000 kg, an average of 1000 kilograms, the limit of a martial arts talent with full marks. After throwing out 3 punches, Jiang Xi seemed to be very relaxed. 100% strength, he felt good, and his strength followed his heart. Seeing the test results, Lu Shan looked serious and asked Jiang Sheng, when little Jiang wasn't here just now, you said that little Jiang had just started learning martial arts, right? Exactly 1 month. I learned the foundation fist technique at that time. Jiang Sheng suppressed his excitement. Not many people in the world could master the foundation fist technique in a month. This time he had really found a treasure. And a big one at that. For martial artists, a strong body was the foundation of their strength, and martial arts techniques were the sublimation of their strength. Therefore, in terms of martial arts techniques, understanding was as important as martial arts talent. No wonder Vice President he gave you such a high evaluation during the Martial Science College entrance examination. Vice President he really has sharp eyes. Limit perspective martial artist. 100% strength. Phew. Looks like this contract needs to be changed. Lu Shan let out a long breath and calmed his shock. A prospective martial artist was a normal person with a strength of 900 kilograms and a speed of 25 meters per second. Jiang Xi had already reached the limit of a normal person with a strength of 1,000 kilograms. Although he did not test his speed, Lu Shan believed that Jiang Xi's speed would not be too bad then. He made a call and asked someone to send a new contract over. A contract? Jiang Xi noticed that there was a folder on the table beside Lu Shan. We Jinten Budokan never mistreat our own people. Our initial conditions for you were to reward you with a townhouse and a monthly salary of 10,000 yuan. However, the talent you've shown is worthy of better conditions. Then we'll reward you with a standalone house and a monthly salary of 100,000 yuan. Lu Shan said with a smile. Jiang Xi's breath caught. He was just thinking about the house at home. Was it solved just like that? Not long after, a staff member of the Xintian Martial House ran over to deliver the new contract. Sign it, little Jiang, Jiang Sheng said with a smile. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and suddenly smiled. Jinten Budokan was the world's #1 martial arts school. He would not lose out if he joined. After training here for a month, the atmosphere was good. He got to know many people and developed feelings for this place. Moreover, this was where his martial arts journey began. He was indebted to Zhang Shang for teaching him, and was his first teacher on the path of martial arts. Not to mention his good friend Zhang Wei. He would definitely join Jinten Budokan in the future. Therefore, what was there to hesitate about? Sign it. Jiang Xi did not dawdle. Under the watchful eyes of Lu Shan, Zhang Shang, and Zhang Wei, he picked up the pen and signed his name. Chapter 14. Thump, thump, thump. Hurried footsteps could be heard coming up the stairs. 3 people in martial artist combat uniforms appeared. When they saw Jiang Xi, their eyes lit up. They walked up to Jiang Xi and the others. Jiang Xi, I'm the vice principal of Tsukishin Budokan Jiang Xinyu. We're from the same family. Come to Tsukishin Budokan. We'll definitely treat you well. The one who spoke was a charming middle-aged woman. She stared at Jiang Xi with a burning gaze. So what if we're from the same family? Jiang Xi, I'm the vice principal of Longxiang Martial Arts School. Yin Gang. If you're a real man, you should come to Longxiang Martial Arts School. A bald man with well-developed muscles grinned. Jiang Xi, I'm the principal of Yunshan Martial Arts School, Songhai. The last person didn't finish his sentence. Lu Shan interrupted him and smiled proudly. Sorry everyone. Jiang Xi has already signed a contract with Jinten Budokan. Seniors, I'm very sorry. I've already joined Jinten Budokan. Jiang Xi put down his pen. Jiang Xinyue and the other 2 looked at each other. Lu Shan, you're too shameless. Jiang Xinyue said angrily. Shameless people are invincible. Lu Shan chuckled. Lu Shan, I want a duel with you. Whoever wins will get Jiang Xi. Yin Gang waved his fist. Only kids play with duels. Lu Shan shook his head. Principal Lu. Yunshan Martial Arts School's principal Song Hai said with a smile. Yunshan Martial Arts School wants to fight with us? Lu Shan smiled coldly. Jinten Budokan, Tsukishin Budokan, and Longxiang Martial Arts School were all world-class martial arts schools. Yunshan Martial Arts School was only a local school in Paksun Province. I wouldn't dare. Song Hai shook his head with an ugly expression. Lu Shan coldly snorted and then said, on the road of martial arts, victory is to strive to be the first. You are 1 step behind, so don't pester me endlessly. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. After he finished speaking, an aura that contained a little bit of qi and blood erupted from his body, but it quickly disappeared. The faces of Jiang Xinyue and the other 2 changed greatly. B class. No, he was about to break through to B class. And the 3 of them were still C class. Lu Shan, Tsukishin Budokan will not give up. Although the path of martial arts is about being the first, it is also about perseverance. Jiang Xinyue smiled at Jiang Xi. Then turned and left. Dragon Elephant Dojo 2. Yin Gang swung his fist again. As for Song Hai, he didn't dare to say anything and hurriedly left. Senior Lu is so domineering. Jiang Xi watched with great interest. 1 against 3, he suppressed and beat them up. He didn't lose out at all. That's for sure. The reason why Jinten Budokan can suppress other martial artists in Paksun Province is because of their fists. Jiang Sheng laughed. Strength reigns supreme. These 4 words appeared in Jiang Xi's mind. This is what a martial artist should be like. Lu Shan elegantly turned around, looked at Jiang Xi and said, Little Jiang, next time you see people from Tsukishin Budokan, be careful. They are a bunch of lunatics. Don't worry, Senior Lu. Lu Shan laughed again. Also, since you are already an ultimate potential martial artist, Paksun Province will have a martial artist assessment at the beginning of July. You should participate and become an official martial artist first. Martial artist assessment. Jiang Xi was stunned. The beginning of July, wasn't that next month? He could become a martial artist next month? After becoming a martial artist, there are many benefits. Most importantly, you can practice the art of drawing qi. Lu Shan's eyes flashed. Art of drawing qi? Why did it sound so fantastical? Jiang Xi was a little confused. However, after thinking about it, this was the era of spiritual energy recovery. It was normal for something as fantastical as the art of drawing qi to appear. Hence, he nodded and said, "Senior Liu, I am willing to participate in the martial artist assessment. However, what is this art of drawing qi?" Lu Shan smiled gently and signaled to Jiang Sheng that it was his turn to explain. Then he slowly sat down and picked up a cup of tea. Jiang Sheng explained, "Little Jiang, you and Little Wei will become martial artists very soon. It's okay to tell you in advance." Jiang Xi and Jiang Wei looked at Jiang Sheng with eyes full of curiosity. Jiang Sheng continued, "After the spirit qi revival, the spirit qi that fills the world is constantly nourishing everything in the world. The same goes for the human body. Under the nourishment of the spirit qi, it has become stronger than in the old era. However, this is a passive evolution. Later on, someone accidentally discovered that when the body reached a certain level of strength, practicing the art of drawing qi from ancient martial arts could actually take the initiative to absorb the spiritual energy of the world and become stronger. It could even break through the limits of the human body. For example, a speed faster than the speed of sound, a strength heavier than 10,000 caddies, and a physical strength that could withstand a rain of bullets. This discovery allowed martial artists to have a clear path of improvement. They were no longer blindly and passively evolving like before. In the end, the 6 realms of martial artists were formed: skin toughening, flesh toughening, bone toughening, marrow changing, blood changing, and meridian opening. It just so happened to correspond to the 6 levels of F, E, D, C, B, and A. For example, the copper color on Little Jiang's hand is the characteristic of an F-level martial artist in the skin toughening realm, copper skin. Once completed, the body will be covered in a layer of purple copper color when attacking at full strength. This is the ultimate realm that only people with high martial arts talent can reach. Therefore, it is also called the ultimate potential martial artist. Ordinary potential martial artists can only show the characteristics of an F-level martial artist after practicing the art of drawing qi. After listening to all this, Jiang Xi finally understood why he had hit a bottleneck when he maxed out his martial arts talent last time. Even the experience points panel could not raise his level. So this was the problem. He still lacked the art of drawing qi. In the past, he was passively receiving the nourishment of the spiritual energy of the world. This level was not enough for him to raise his level to a higher level. Without the art of drawing qi, he might not be able to break through in 100 years. Uncle Jiang, after completing the F level, won't the whole body be covered in copper skin? Isn't that the same as the Shaolin 18 copper men? Zhang Wei asked in surprise. That's right. In the old era, the Shaolin copper men were in the skin toughening realm. They are equivalent to our current F-level martial artists. Jiang Sheng laughed. At this time, Lu Shan stood up and said to Jiang Sheng, "Jiang Sheng, your introduction is good. It's very detailed. Later, find a basic mental cultivation method for little Jiang. With his physical strength, he can practice it first. When he passes the martial artist assessment, I'll give him the official art of drawing qi." Basic mental cultivation method. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. After knowing the problem of the bottleneck, he urgently needed the art of drawing qi. Whether it was the basic or the official art, as long as it was the art of drawing qi, it would be fine. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Little Jiang, regarding the martial artist assessment, you can directly look for Jiang Sheng. He will help you solve it. After saying this, Lu Shan held the contract and left in a good mood. Jiang Sheng was not a procrastinator. Very quickly, he brought a USB drive from the office. He laughed and said, "I've saved the basic mental cultivation method in here. You can go back and study it properly. Just like the deputy head said, there are many benefits." Jiang Xi put away the USB drive and asked tentatively, "Uncle Jiang, you don't have a mission today? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush with me." Jiang Sheng knew that Jiang Xi was asking about the mutated chicken. Then, his tone became more relaxed and he said, "Didn't I just give you a villa? I suggest that you move here in the next few days. In the near future, your place might not be too peaceful." "Okay, I understand." Jiang Xi nodded solemnly. "Uncle Jiang Xi, what are you talking about? What's not peaceful?" Zhang Wei was confused as he listened. "Train well. If by the end of the year, your body still can't meet the requirements of a prospective martial artist, you don't have to go to the College of Martial Arts. I'll tell your dad to send you to the army, Jiang Sheng reprimanded. Zhang Wei left with his head drooped. Jiang Xi laughed secretly. Sending Zhang Wei, who was always free and undisciplined, to the army was definitely a good idea. Chapter 15. Jiang Xi did not forget his purpose for coming to Zhenten Budokan this afternoon. He immediately asked Jiang Sheng if he wanted to learn swordsmanship. Learn swordsmanship? That's true. Your basic fist technique has already reached the unity realm. You should consider learning a weapon-type technique with strong attack power. Jiang Sheng nodded. Then he shook his head. But my weapon is a saber. I'm not very proficient with swords. Jiang Xi was a little disappointed. He could only find another opportunity to learn in the future. In terms of weapon preferences, he was more inclined towards swords. The sword was the king of all weapons. It was extremely dangerous and was born to kill. It was the king of all killing weapons. Most importantly, it was cool. Of course, teaching you basic swordsmanship is not a problem. I also learned swordsmanship in my early years. If you don't mind, we can start now. Jiang Sheng suddenly smiled. How could Jiang Xi mind? Any advanced martial technique had to start from the basics. Let's go to the armory first and choose a sword you like. Jiang Xi and Jiang Sheng arrived at the armory on the 3rd floor of the training center. As soon as they entered, Jiang Xi's gaze was attracted by the cold weapons in the room. Most of them were sabers and swords. There were also rods, clubs, hammers, axes, and so on. Some of the weapons were further divided into several types. For example, there were long swords, short swords, broad-bladed greatswords, and so on. These weapons are all F-grade. They are suitable for beginners and F-grade martial artists, Jiang Sheng said. Jiang Xi nodded. The people training in the 3rd building were all aspiring martial artists. The martial arts center could not provide weapons of higher grades. He walked to the weapon rack where sword-type weapons were placed and grabbed a long sword. The style of this sword was very similar to the dragon spring sword in his previous life. It was just more exquisite and suited the aesthetic standards of this era. The sword was 3 feet long with 2 blades. It had a straight body and a sharp head. It could hurt people in any direction and pierce through armor. Felt good to swing it twice. This is it. You have good taste. This is an F-grade longsword from the Slayer Shadow series. It's very suitable for fighting. Many martial artists who use swords choose the Slayer Shadow series. Jiang Sheng smiled. He went to the training hall again. Jiang Sheng also held a Slayer Shadow longsword and said, "The sword is harder to practice than the fist because the fist is a part of the body while the sword is an external object. Therefore, the purpose of practicing basic sword skills is to familiarize oneself with the sword and finally achieve, one with the sword, one with the sword, one with the sword. Only then can one learn more profound sword skills." Jiang Xi listened attentively. Jiang Sheng was a very good teacher. The basic sword technique consists of 13 moves: stab, hack, lift, hang, point, wipe, support, sweep, intercept, stab, push, and transform. Now watch my movements. As Jiang Sheng spoke, he suddenly raised his sword and stabbed forward. This is a thorn. This is a chop. This is flirting. The last move, transform. Jiang Sheng's figure flickered as he performed all 13 moves of the basic sword technique. Did you see it clearly? Yes. Good. Now follow me. After you practice a few times, I'll teach you the moves one by one. Jiang Xi nodded and practiced seriously. It was different from the basic fist technique. The moves of the basic sword technique were harder to practice. Although he remembered all the moves of the basic sword technique after a few times. However, after he made a move, the move of the sword was different from what he imagined. There would always be a deviation. For example, when he stabbed out, he clearly wanted to stab straight, but in the end the stab was crooked. Indeed, it was different from the fist technique. Practice. Jiang Xi knew that there was no other way to learn the basics from the beginning. Under Jiang Sheng's guidance, he began to practice the moves one by one. Gradually, as he became more familiar with the moves, Jiang Xi began to feel it. With the 13 basic sword techniques, the deviation of each move became smaller and smaller. Although he was mentally prepared, Jiang Sheng was still very shocked when he saw this scene. How long had it been? Only 4 hours. He recalled that when he first learned the basic sword technique, It took him a whole month to master the basic 13 moves. Jiang Xi was very serious. He swept his long sword and drew an arc. With his strength of 1,000 kilograms, when he waved the sword, there was a whistling sound. You have learned basic sword technique? Experience points plus 10. Jiang Xi was delighted. As expected, the experience points panel did not disappoint him. Level, normal, 100,100. Martial skills, basic fist technique, unity 50-50. Basic sword technique, small success 130. Force exertion, 100% experience points, 34. From the experience points required to level up, it could be seen that the difficulty of the basic sword technique was high. To reach the small success stage, 30 experience points were required. The highest level of the basic fist technique, the unity stage, only required 50 experience points. This way I can go home and slowly level up. However, Jiang Xi planned to practice the basic sword technique 100 times in the dojo before going home. He could not let go of any opportunity to increase his experience points. You have practiced basic sword technique 100 times. Experience points plus 3. Jiang Xi was happy. With the difficulty of the martial skill increased, the experience points gained from practicing the martial skill would also increase. Unlike the basic fist technique, which only gave 1 experience point for 100 times. That was the motivation. Following that, Jiang Xi did not relax for a moment. He devoted himself to practicing the sword technique. He did not care about his sweat. He only felt carefree as he practiced the sword moves. Look at Jiang Xi and then look at you. You only did 1,000 bench presses and you're already crying. Hurry up and continue practicing. Jiang Shang reprimanded Zhang Wei, who was slacking off. How can we compare? He's a pervert, I'm a salted fish. Zhang Wei wailed. When it was almost 7 in the evening, Jiang Xi looked at the panel. His total experience points had reached 40 points. Goal accomplished, time to go home. Uncle Zhang Wei, I'll go back first. Jiang Xi put the killer shadow sword back where it was. He took a shower, changed his clothes and waved his hand to leave. Wait for me. Zhang Wei also took to his heels. You brat. You still have 500 bench presses to finish. Come back. Jiang Shang shouted from behind. Zhang Wei's speed was even faster. He went down the stairs like a wisp of smoke and disappeared. Sigh, when will people stop worrying and be like Jiang Xi, who doesn't need to be forced? Jiang Shang shook his head helplessly. Outside Jinten Budokan, Zhang Wei caught up with Jiang Xi. We're not going the same way. Why are you leaving so early? Jiang Xi laughed. The martial sciences exam results are out this year. Have you seen it? Zhang Wei asked. So fast. Jiang Xi was surprised. The results were out in the afternoon after the test in the morning. On second thought, it made sense. There was only one score for the martial sciences exam, and it was directly recorded into the computer. The data would be out in no time. How many points? The cutoff score for Paksun Province is 49 points. This is also the lowest score for Hokuzen Budo Academy. The remaining ones are 51 points for Luocheng College of Martial Arts, 52 points for Shushen College of Martial Arts, and 59 points for Sunshin Budo Academy. Jiang Xi nodded lightly. The Hokuzen Budo Academy was located in Paksun Province, so the admission score was definitely lower. It was 14 points lower than last year's 63 points. Sunshin Budo Academy was still as crazy as ever. 59 points, as expected of the top 4 College of Martial Arts. They had harvested a batch of good seedlings. Jiang Xi, have you thought about it? Let's go to Shuntian together? Let's go there and turn the world upside down. Zhang Wei said with anticipation. He was also quite reluctant to leave Jiang Xi as a friend. Jiang Xi shook his head and smiled. You know my situation. I can't leave Jiangdudu alone. Zhang Wei was a little disappointed. Don't worry about not having friends in the future. Who in the world doesn't know you? Besides, your house is in North Hill. We can still see each other during the holidays. Brothers for life. Jiang Xi said with a smile. Yes, brothers for life. Zhang Wei grinned and patted Jiang Xi's shoulder. I'll look for you when you move to the martial artists' neighborhood. I'll leave first. Jiang Xi looked at his back and shook his head with a smile. On the train home, Jiang Xi closed his eyes and rested. This was one of the few breaks he had. The train was filled with all kinds of smells. It was very crowded and uncomfortable. However, Jiang Xi was already used to it. The following is an urgent message. Near the market at the west foot of the Deer Cry district, a special case of poultry mutation has occurred. Residents nearby, please pay attention to your safety and do not go out. The broadcast in the train woke Jiang Xi up. The shorter the news, the bigger the matter. Chapter 16. Shilu Market? Since it was a mutation of poultry, the source must be the Shan slaughterhouse. Ever since the first wave of experience points there, Jiang Xi had never been there again. His intuition told him that something was wrong. Jiang Xi shook his head and got off the car at the stop, as if it had nothing to do with him. When he got home, he had to remind Jiang Dudu to be careful. From Jiang Shang's attitude in the afternoon, he could tell that the area around Shilu Market was not safe. Tomorrow, I'll move to the warrior community in Jenten Budokan, Jiang Xi thought. When he got home, Jiang Xi planned to tell Jiang Dudu about the surprise of moving to a bigger house. But what surprised Jiang Xi was that he did not smell any food. Jiang Dudu did not cook? Dudu, I'm back. Jiang Xi shouted. The door of the room was open but no one came out. She's not here. Jiang Xi was stunned. Jiang Dudu never left the house after 7 in the evening. Right now it was almost 8. At this moment he saw a note on the table. Brother, I went to Shilu Market to buy braised meat. If you're back early you can cook first. I'll come back to cook. Braised meat. Jiang Xi's expression changed. During lunch they finished the rest of the pork knuckles. Shilu Market. Jiang Xi rushed out of the door. He forgot to close the door and ran downstairs. In the apricot flower garden district, Jiang Xi ignored the shocked looks of the neighbors and ran at full speed. The speed limit of a prospective warrior. 100 meters in 4 seconds. Like a gust of wind, he rolled up the fallen leaves on the roadside and almost knocked down many people. Did I see wrongly? Is that Xiao Jiang? What a fast speed. Xiao Jiang is a warrior. It was about 4 kilometers from Apricot Flower Garden District to Shilu Market. It would take about 10 minutes by rail. However, Jiang Xi was burning with impatience. How could he wait? 4 kilometers. I'll be there in 3 minutes at most. Jiang Xi looked anxious but he kept calm. Based on Jiang Dudu's habits, she must have stayed at Shilu Market for some reason if she hadn't returned at this late hour. It has been less than 10 minutes since the rail car broadcast the poultry mutation incident. But considering the lag of news in this era, it could have happened half an hour ago, or even an hour ago. In other words, the West Foothill Market was in danger. Jiang Dudu, nothing must happen to you. After running for a little over 2 kilometers, Jiang Xi felt a slight muscle soreness in his brain, and his speed instantly dropped a little. Is this the limit of my body at full speed? Hold on. Jiang Xi roared in his heart and sped up again. The passers-by on the road only saw a figure dashing past, and they were all shocked. A minute later they were close to Shilu Market. However, there was not a single person on the nearby streets. It was completely empty. They must have heard the news and were hiding at home. Where is Jiang Dudu? At this time Jiang Xi regretted believing Jiang Dudu's words. To save money, he didn't buy a mobile phone for both of them. Hee. A low growl suddenly came from behind. Riverward hurriedly turned around and saw a wolfhound that was clearly larger in size. It has red eyes and fangs. The fur on its back is also red. It's a mutated German shepherd. Jiang Xi narrowed his eyes. This was different from the mutated chicken. The mutated chicken had no fighting power. But this mutated German shepherd was obviously very strong. It's the one guarding Shan's slaughterhouse. Jiang Xi noticed a familiar collar around the mutated German shepherd's neck. There were 2 German shepherds guarding Shan's slaughterhouse. He saw them when he was working part-time. The mutated German shepherd suddenly bared its fangs and spat saliva as it pounced on Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi's strength was different from before. He quickly moved to the side and dodged the attack. At the same time, he used the strength of his feet to punch the mutated German shepherd's waist. This was the weakest part of the mutated German shepherd's body. With 100% strength, the mutated German shepherd was sent flying with a force of 1,000 kilograms. Then Jiang Xi caught up with it in 2 steps. He stepped on the mutated German Shepherd's neck and punched the mutated German Shepherd's head under the great force. The mutated German Shepherd stopped breathing. You killed a mutated German Shepherd. Experience +5. Jiang Xi didn't have time to complain. Why did killing a mutated German Shepherd give the same amount of experience as killing a mutated chicken? He quickly walked towards Shilu Market. Jiang Dudu was most likely there. However, just as he walked in, Jiang Xi stopped in his tracks. With the help of the bright moonlight, he could clearly see that there were many pairs of red eyes in Shilu Market looking at him. There were chickens, ducks, and geese. This place had been taken over by mutated poultry. Jiang Dudu. Jiang Xi shouted. No one answered. Jiang Xi turned around and walked away. Although these mutated poultry gave him experience, he didn't care. In his eyes, Jiang Dudu was the most important. Ah! Don't come here. Don't come here. Someone save me. Suddenly a scream came from inside. Jiang Xi frowned. He didn't have time to care about these things. Seeing the boning knife on the pork stall, Jiang Xi grabbed it and rushed towards the mutated poultry. The mutated chickens, ducks, and geese were obviously braver. They were very fierce and didn't run away. Instead, they screamed and rushed towards Jiang Xi. Jiang Xi swung the sharp boning knife and attacked continuously. He quickly ran out from the other door of Shilu Market. Behind him were the corpses of chickens, ducks, and geese. You killed a mutated big rooster. Experience +5. You killed a mutated big white goose. Experience +5. You killed a mutated big yellow duck. Experience +5. A series of notifications rang in Jiang Xi's mind. Although the experience points were increasing rapidly, Jiang Xi wasn't happy at all. Where is Jiang Dudu? After a quick search, the vicinity of Shilu Market had been cleared. Could it be that Jiang Dudu wasn't here? That was possible. Jiang Xi decided to search the area again. Boom! A violent explosion came from afar. Flames shot up to the sky. It's from the direction of Shan's slaughterhouse. Jiang Xi turned around then. He saw a black-robed law enforcer stumbling over from afar. There were still flames on his clothes that could not be extinguished in time. It was obvious that he was injured in the explosion. Behind him, a man with a sharp knife was chasing after him. It was the boss of Shan's slaughterhouse, Shen Quan. Shen Quan. He is indeed a martial artist. How daring. He actually dared to kill an enforcer. Jiang Xi was shocked. Don't run towards me. Jiang Xi suddenly realized that the black-clothed enforcer was running towards him. Jiang Xi turned around and ran. What an unexpected disaster. Haha, since I've been exposed, let's kill to our heart's content. Shen Quan's expression was ferocious. The enforcer was injured, so his speed was slower. Shen Quan quickly caught up with him and the two of them started fighting again. Saber light and sword shadows. Many parts of their bodies lit up with a layer of copper color. They were both level F skin refining realm martial artists. Where are the rest of the enforcers? Jiang Xi was puzzled. However, the battle between the two martial artists was not something he could participate in. He had to quickly hide. At this moment, Shen Quan's saber slashed the enforcer's chest, causing him to fall to the ground. Just as he was about to follow up with another slash, the enforcer on the ground stabbed Shen Quan's thigh with his saber. You're courting death. Shen Quan was furious. He raised his saber and ended the enforcer's life. Then he looked around and frowned. That kid in front of me actually ran away. He's just a small fry. It's fine if he ran away. Anyway, I can't stay in Pak Sun province any longer. I have to take advantage of the chaos and leave. Before he could take a few steps, the sound of a wolf dog barking could be heard from the street corner. Found you. Trying to run? Shen Quan rushed over. Chapter 17. At a street corner far away, Jiang Xi's face darkened as he finished off the remaining mutated wolfhound with a few kicks and punches. You killed a mutated wolfhound. Experience points +5. The notification of the experience points did not make him happy at all. Run. Jiang Xi saw Shen Quan chasing after him and started running. Seeing Jiang Xi's speed, Shen Quan was slightly stunned. Martial artist? No, he's a bit short, a potential martial artist. Trying to run? Shen Quan sneered. Although one of his legs was injured, His speed was still faster than Jiang Xi's. He was getting closer. Jiang Xi turned around to take a look. He was anxious. He couldn't escape. What should he do? Stop and fight Shen Quan with his fists? Impossible, he would definitely be killed by him in one strike. Right. Sword technique. Jiang Xi clenched the boning knife in his hand. Although it was only a short knife, it was still better than fighting with his bare hands. While running, he opened the experience points panel and took a quick look. Level, normal, 100,100. Martial arts basic fist technique, combined 50-50. Basic sword technique, small mastery 130. Force exertion, 100% experience points, 145. Those mutated poultry gave him more than 100 experience points. That's enough. On the panel, other than the experience points, the only thing he could improve was the basic sword technique he learned in the afternoon. Increase basic sword technique experience points by 10. Suddenly, his head felt like it was hit by a stick, and there was a lot of comprehension of basic sword technique. A wave of dizziness made Jiang Xi stagger, but he quickly regained control of himself. Sure enough, with the improvement of my physical fitness, I can add more experience points at once. Basic sword technique at small mastery is definitely not a match for a martial artist. Increase it by 10 more points. An even stronger wave of dizziness came from his brain. I can still hold on. Give me 10 more points. Jiang Xi gritted his teeth this time. He felt that he was almost at his limit. He felt a little lightheaded. Basic sword technique, refinement 150. In a short period of time, the amount of comprehension of basic sword technique given to him in the experience points panel had reached his limit. It might seem like he had used a lot of time to improve his basic swordsmanship, but in reality Jiang Xi had completed all of it in less than 10 seconds. Behind him, Shen Quan appeared to be very relaxed. When he saw Jiang Xi stumble twice, he laughed. The small fry's foundation is not stable. It seems that he has only recently reached the level of a prospective martial artist. The distance between the two of them was less than 10 meters. With the speed of a martial artist, they could cover the distance in 1 or 2 steps. However, Jiang Xi, who was running in front, suddenly stopped and turned around. He held the boning knife in one hand and stabbed out. "You're courting death?" Shen Quan sneered as he casually swung his saber. Clang! The two retreated at the same time, but Jiang Xi retreated even more. He blocked it? How is that possible? Shen Quan was stunned. His attack just now had seemed casual, but his subtle realm saber techniques had allowed him to calculate all of Jiang Xi's attack paths. In addition, his strength and speed were far superior to Jiang Xi's. He was confident that he could definitely hit Jiang Xi, but the result shocked him. He's actually a martial arts genius. He must die. Shen Quan put away his playful attitude and became serious. As a veteran martial artist, he naturally knew the consequences of offending a martial arts genius. Once the other party matured, he would end up in a miserable state. Thus, he could only kill the other party when he offended him. Jiang Xi shook his head vigorously. His head felt heavy. The aftereffects of rapidly increasing the level of his basic sword techniques were starting to show. His right hand, which was holding the boning knife, was trembling slightly. The attack just now had caused the webbing between his thumb and forefinger to split open. Martial artists were too strong. Shen Quan's strength completely suppressed him. Swoosh! A strong gust of wind blew. Shen Quan's saber carried a cold aura as it slashed towards him. Dodge! Jiang Xi sidestepped and lifted the boning knife at the same time. Clang! He blocked Shen Quan's attack once again. It's a basic sword technique, not a saber technique. Shen Quan was even more shocked. The killing intent in his heart intensified. Using a short boning knife to execute a basic sword technique, he was actually able to block his attacks twice in a row. Such a genius must be killed. Clang clang clang. Shen Quan's saber chased after Jiang Xi and slashed down continuously. Jiang Xi kept retreating. At the same time, he used basic sword techniques to block these fatal attacks. The dizziness in his head was getting stronger and stronger. He felt very bitter. The intense battle between the two of them on the street attracted the attention of the residents in the neighborhood upstairs. Look, it's two martial artists fighting. So powerful. That young man is going to lose. A small head popped out from one of the residential buildings. It was Jiang Dudu. After the poultry mutation incident broke out, she hid in her classmate's house at Shilu Market. She was very worried about Jiang Xi. However, because she did not have a phone, she could not contact Jiang Xi. She could only wait for the incident to end. When Jiang Dudu saw the situation downstairs, her expression changed drastically. "Brother." She turned and ran out of the door. "Hey Dudu, where are you going? It's dangerous outside." Behind her, Jiang Dudu's classmate hurriedly shouted. However, Jiang Dudu did not listen to him. She quickly went downstairs and ran to the street. Slash. A knife into the flesh. It was so painful that Jiang Xi grimaced. His stomach was slashed again. The multiple wounds on his body caused him to lose too much blood. This made his consciousness even more blurry. However, the pain from this cut made him a little more clear-headed. Am I going to die? No. How can I die? I haven't found Jiang Dudu yet. I can't die. Jiang Xi bit the tip of his tongue and instantly became more clear-headed. Increase basic sword techniques by 50 experience points. Jiang Xi roared in his heart. In an instant, a large amount of basic sword techniques understanding flowed into his mind. It was as if someone had stuck a stick in his head and was stirring it crazily. It was as if it would explode in the next second. His consciousness began to become even more blurry. However, at the same time, a strange feeling surfaced in his heart. It was as if the boning knife in his hand had become a part of his body. The two of them exchanged blows for only a short minute. However, Shen Quan became anxious and angry at the same time. As an F-grade martial artist, he actually needed a minute to kill a prospective martial artist. Disgrace. It has been 3 minutes since the explosion. The law enforcement team should be here soon. I have to end this battle and leave. Die. Shen Quan shouted and stabbed his knife towards Jiang Xi's chest with all his strength. Poochie. Poochie. Two sounds of the knife piercing into flesh were heard almost at the same time. I won. Jiang Xi's eyes were bloodshot and his 7 orifices were bleeding. This made his faint smile look somewhat sinister. Shen Quan lowered his head in disbelief and saw a boning knife stabbed into his heart. As for his knife, it was grabbed by Jiang Xi's other hand. It did not stab into Jiang Xi's chest and only pierced through his shoulder. An ultimate prospective martial artist. Shen Quan's eyes widened. He finally noticed that both of Jiang Xi's hands were copper in color. His consciousness began to blur. The moment he fell to the ground, another thought flashed through his mind. No, there is still the Unity Realm basic sword techniques. Only when the body and sword are united can one wield it like an arm. At the critical moment, he was able to block my full force attack. To die in the hands of such a genius. Shen Quan's face was filled with a blank expression and he did not make a sound. Am I going to die too? Hateful. I still haven't found Dudu. Jiang Xi relied on his last bit of consciousness and did not fall. A one-time increase of 50 experience points for the basic sword techniques was far beyond the limit of what his brain could bear now. His brain felt as if it had been stirred up countless times with a stick. It was a mess. You killed a grade F martial artist. Experience points plus 10. Jiang Xi did not hear the notification on the panel clearly. Brother. Jiang Xi heard the shouts from afar and was about to lose consciousness. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, revealing his last smile. Jiang Dudu was still alive. Very good. With a bang he fell to the ground and could not get up. Jiang Dudu ran over without a care for her own safety. Because her body was weak, she fell after running a few steps. Her palms and knees were bleeding from the friction. Ignoring the pain, she got up and ran to Jiang Xi's side in a panic. But Jiang Xi was already unconscious. Brother. Jiang Xi. Don't scare me. Someone come quickly. Someone come and save my brother. I beg of you. Jiang Dudu sat on the ground paralyzed. She hugged Jiang Xi's head and cried. Jiang Xi, you can't die. I haven't allowed you to die. You can't die. Jiang Dudu roared. We still need to move to a bigger house, travel to Zhanghai, and climb the highest mountain in the world in Qingnan. You still haven't caught a ghost for me to be a pet. You can't die. Jiang Dudu sobbed softly. I won't let you die. Oh. Chapter 18. The residents on both sides of the street stood by the windows and watched Jiang Dudu's sorrowful cries. Their hearts were moved, but no one dared to go downstairs. They saw with their own eyes that a mutated wolfhound had savagely bitten a few people to death. At this moment, a small group of enforcers in black rushed over from afar. The person in the lead was Zhang Sheng. Shen Quan is dead? Where's Hu Zi? Zhang Sheng saw Shen Quan's corpse in the distance, but he did not see the enforcer who was secretly monitoring Shen Quan. Search. Find Hu Zi and send another person to check the explosion point. Zhang Sheng shouted. A few enforcers quickly dispersed. That is, Zhang Sheng's expression changed. He saw a little girl crying while hugging a person. However, he did not pay much attention to it as the mission was important. At this moment he saw the person the little girl was hugging. Jiang Xi. Why was Jiang Xi here? Could it be that Shen Quan killed Jiang Xi? Zhang Sheng's heart sank, and he rushed over immediately. Please save my brother. Jiang Dudu raised her head and murmured with tears all over her face. Zhang Sheng's heart ached. He quickly checked Jiang Xi's body. He's still alive. Zhang Sheng was shocked. He could feel Jiang Xi's weak pulse. Quick, Xiao Lu. Bring this little girl back to the dojo. Zhang Sheng shouted. As for himself, he carried Jiang Xi and rushed towards Jenten Budokan. With the speed of a Class E fighter, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Jiang Dudu was stunned when she heard Zhang Sheng say that he was still alive. Suddenly, hope rose in her heart. Before she could react, a law enforcer appeared in front of her and led her in the direction of the Xintian martial dojo. In Jenten Budokan, Zhang Sheng was out of breath. He carried Jiang Xi and ran directly to the Martial Artists Medical Center in Block 2. His actions piqued the curiosity of many martial artists in the dojo. Wasn't Zhang Sheng on a mission with the law enforcement team? Why did he come back to the dojo? Who was he hugging? Who was injured? Everyone followed Zhang Sheng and chased after him at this time. On the top floor of Jenten Budokan Building No. 1, Lu Shan was sitting cross-legged in a practice room by the window meditating. B-class. His hand touched the door sill, but his foot couldn't reach it. Looks like I still need to fight. Someday, I'll go to the wilderness and find 2 B-class monsters to chop up. Lu Shan thought to himself. From marrow changing to blood changing, he had stopped many C-class martial artists. At this moment, the commotion outside displeased him. Soon, someone knocked on the door and came in. Come in. A martial artist walked in and said with a serious expression, Deputy Dojo Master, Jiang Xi is seriously injured. His life index is very low. The situation is very serious. Lu Shan's expression immediately darkened. He did not get angry and picked up his phone. When he was cultivating, he did not turn it on. After turning it on, he directly called the medical center. Give Jiang Xi an E-class life medicine. E-class. Deputy Dojo Master, Jiang Xi is still an ordinary person. His body can't take it, right? He's an extreme quasi-martial artist. The other side stopped talking. Lu Shan hung up the phone and looked at the martial artist who came to report. He asked in a deep voice who did it. Zhang Sheng brought it back. It said that it's Shen Quan from the Shen family slaughterhouse, the one with mutated poultry. It seems that I haven't made a move for many years. Some old bastards in Deer Cry district want to rebel. Do they think we Jenten Budokan people are easy to bully? Lu Shan stood up immediately and grabbed a machete from the knife rack beside him. Call Dojo Master Chan and tell him that I'm going to kill someone. Ask him to hold guild leader he back. After saying that, Lu Shan directly broke through the glass of the training room and jumped down from the 10-meter-high building. With a strong leap, he covered a distance of hundreds of meters and disappeared quickly. The martial artist who was left behind smiled bitterly. I hope the dojo master won't scold me. In the afternoon, Xiao Wei's family was holding a celebratory banquet. In the previous Martial Science College entrance examination, although Xiao Wei's martial arts talent score was overshadowed by Jiang Xi in the end, it still could not cover up his talent with a martial arts talent score of 93 points. He was definitely a martial arts genius. Therefore, Xiao Wei's father, Qiao Wanxiang, the founder of Qiao's biological group, specially invited some relatives and friends to celebrate with Xiao Wei at home. Chairman Qiao, Looks like your son's achievements in martial arts will be higher than yours in the future. Like father, like son. Chairman Xiao is a C-class martial artist. I think Xiao Wei will definitely become an A-class martial artist in the future and enter the global martial arts expert ranking. Young Master Xiao Wei is the hope of our Paksun province's martial arts world. Many people congratulated Xiao Wanqiang and praised him. Xiao Wanqiang was grinning from ear to ear. On the other hand, Xiao Wei looked obedient. He only smiled slightly in the face of the elder's praises. The banquet went smoothly. When the explosion occurred in Shilu Market, Xiao Wanqiang, with his C-class ability, could vaguely hear the explosion even though he was far away. He found an excuse to announce the end of the banquet. Xiao Wanqiang felt vaguely uneasy. He had heard that the Enforcement Bureau had been investigating something recently. This is Zhang Xi. Xiao Wei was browsing through videos on his phone when he suddenly saw the latest trending video. It was posted by a resident near Shilu Market. The video showed two martial artists fighting fiercely on the street. However, the distance was a little far, so the faces of the people could not be seen clearly. However, Xiao Wei had fought with Zhang Xi before. He recognized one of them as Zhang Xi at first glance. Zhang Xi is dead? Xiao Wei was stunned when he saw that both parties had perished together in the end. Who is Zhang Xi? Xiao Wanqiang asked casually. He was thinking about something else. The one who got full marks for martial arts talent in the Martial Science College entrance examination today. That's a pity. What's there to pity? It's good that he died. That guy was crazy. It's good that he died. Xiao Wei laughed coldly. Zhang Xi did not give him face back then. Today, he stole all the limelight in the Martial Science College entrance examination. Therefore, he replayed the video again and watched how Zhang Xi died. It was satisfying. I think I've seen the other guy somewhere before. Right, Dad, what's the name of the martial artist who came to our house to give us the antique? Xiao Wei remembered. Shun Quan, Xiao Wanqiang said casually. He was distracted and worried about something. When he saw the video, his expression changed. He knew something was wrong and stood up immediately. Then boom. There was a sonic boom. One of them attacked at a speed faster than the speed of sound. Xiao Wanqiang. Come out and die. Xiao Wanqiang's expression changed drastically. He quickly took out his weapon. Dad! Xiao Wei called out worriedly. No matter what happens, don't come out. Xiao Wanqiang shouted. Outside the door, Lu Shan leaned on his saber with both hands and waited quietly. Xiao Wanqiang walked out with a gloomy face and said, Lu Shan, you shouldn't harm family members. I don't kill normal people. I'm not as shameless as you experimenting on normal people. You have no evidence. Evidence? You dare say that Shun Quan isn't your man? I'll find out everything in 2 days at most. I'll punish you, but I don't want to wait anymore. I'll give you 2 choices. 1, fight me here. 2, fight me outside the city. Beat me and you won't die. Xiao Wanqiang took a deep breath and ran out of Paksun province. If they fought here with their strength, all the normal people nearby would be killed. Even Xiao Wei wouldn't be spared. Lu Shan sneered. At least you're a martial artist. After the 2 of them left, Xiao Wei ran out a while later with a worried look on his face. At the same time, Sukishin Budokan's deputy principal Jiang Xinhua, Longxiang Martial Arts School's deputy principal Yan Gang, and Yunshan Martial Arts School's principal Song Hai had heard about the battle near Shilu Market. They had just arrived at Jinten Budokan in the afternoon and invited Zhang Xi. Zhang Xi is dead? What a pity for a genius. Jiang Xinhua frowned. She had just seen him in Jinten Budokan in the afternoon. She didn't expect him to die in just a few hours. Even a genius can't avoid the dangers of martial arts. What a pity he died before he could grow. Yan Gang sighed and shook his head. Song Hai, who was training in Yunshan Martial Arts School, laughed when he heard about the incident. Haha, it's good that he died. If Yunshan Martial Arts School can't get him, Jinten Budokan can't either. Damn Lu Shan. Oh. Chapter 19. Zhang Xi was not dead. After the doctor at Jinten Budokan Medical Center gave Zhang Xi an E-grade life potion, the injuries on Zhang Xi's body stabilized. However, Jiang Xi did not wake up. He was still unconscious. "Doctor, what's the problem? Why hasn't Jiang Xi woken up yet?" Zhang Wei asked anxiously. He had rushed over as soon as he saw the video. "It should be a problem with his brain. I found that his consciousness had suffered a strong impact before, so it's very chaotic now. It's this confusion that caused him to be unconscious. However, I can't find out what exactly caused the impact. As you all know, the human brain is very mysterious," the doctor said apologetically. "Doctor, when will my brother wake up?" Jiang Daodu hurriedly asked. She was not in a good state of mind. Knowing that Jiang Xi was still alive, she heaved a sigh of relief. However, she was still very worried. Zhang Wei and Jiang Shang also stared at the doctor nervously. "It's hard to say. He might wake up immediately or in a day or two. He might not wake up for the rest of his life." The doctor shook his head. Jiang Daodu's face suddenly turned pale. Looking at Jiang Xi, who seemed to be sleeping soundly, her eyes turned red again. She was very regretful and blamed herself. If it weren't for her, Jiang Xi would not have gone to Shilu Market, and the subsequent events would not have happened. Zhang Wei and Jiang Shang looked at each other. Their hearts were heavy. "Uncle, are you sure that Jiang Xi killed that warrior called Shen Quan?" Zhang Wei asked. "I also saw the video. It was indeed little Jiang." Jiang Shang nodded. Zhang Wei took a deep breath and said, "Uncle, increase my training schedule. I want to become a warrior as soon as possible." He had been provoked by Jiang Xi. At the same time, he wanted to fulfill Jiang Xi's wish to become a warrior. Days passed. Jiang Dudu had been guarding Jiang Xi. She did not go anywhere, and no one could pull her away. When she was tired, she lay beside Jiang Xi's bed and fell asleep with tears on her face. When he was hungry, he would eat the food that Zhang Wei and Jiang Shang brought over. Jiang Dudu became even thinner. Similarly, Zhang Wei had also become slightly thinner. After the intensive training, his physical fitness had improved a little, and his ability to exert strength had also improved significantly, but in the face of these improvements, he could not bring himself to be happy, because Jiang Xi had not woken up yet. A week later, Zhang Wei stood beside Jiang Xi's bed and said softly, "Jiang Xi, today is the day of the college entrance examination. If you don't wake up soon, you won't be able to enter the College of Martial Arts. At that time, I'll really be your senior." Jiang Xi had maintained the slight smile on his face before he fainted. At this time, there was no change at all. Beside him, Jiang Dudu sat quietly by the bed. Her hands supported her chin as she stared at Jiang Xi's face, motionless. Zhang Wei sighed to himself and turned to leave. The storm caused by the poultry mutation in Shilu Market gradually subsided. The video that had once been a trending topic was gradually forgotten. Naturally, no one would remember the two warriors who had fought at that time. Only those who knew and interacted with Jiang Xi felt sorry for Jiang Xi. After being unconscious for so many days, he still had not woken up. It seemed that he was really crippled. He Chongqing, the president of the Warrior Association, had originally wanted to punish Lu Shan because Lu Shan had killed the C-class warrior, Qiao Wanqiang, without authorization. C-class warriors were already the upper echelons of human warriors. Even if such people were guilty, they should have died fighting monsters. It was too much of a pity to die in the hands of humans. However, when He Chongqing found out that Qiao Wanqiang was the mastermind behind Jiang Xi's coma and the poultry mutation, he did not pursue Lu Shan's matter. Qiao Wanqiang deserved to die. Even if Qiao Wanqiang was still alive, He Chongqing wanted to kill him with one slap. Since the Spirit Qi revival, Jiang Xi was the first person to score full marks in martial arts talent. In the eyes of many people, a full mark in martial arts talent was only a surprise. That was because there were many people who scored more than 90 points in martial arts talent in Xia country's 7 major prefectural cities every year. 90 points was not much different from full marks. However, He Chongqing was an A-class warrior, a powerhouse who stood at the top of human warriors. He knew very well what this meant. Before Jiang Xi, the number one genius in martial arts was Li Baibai, who scored 99 points in martial arts talent. He was now the second strongest person in the world. One could imagine that if Jiang Xi could grow up, he might become a stronger martial artist than Li Baibai. He might be able to turn the tide and change the predicament of humans being besieged by monsters. What a pity. Damn it. At that moment He Chongqing's phone rang. He answered the call. President. Jiang Xi is awake. A voice came from the other side of the phone. He Chongqing was stunned for a moment, then laughed loudly. Jiang Xi ate 50 pork knuckles and drank 3 big bowls of millet porridge before he was satisfied. After being unconscious for half a month, he was starving. Brother, you must have been possessed by a hungry ghost. No, maybe you were a hungry ghost in your previous life. Jiang Daodu giggled. A smile finally appeared on her face. Jiang Xi chuckled. No, I was your ancestor in my previous life. Jiang Xi, you're so mean. You're taking advantage of us as soon as you wake up. Zhang Wei walked into the ward. I'm telling the truth, but you don't believe me. Jiang Xi shook his head. He was reborn before the recovery of spiritual power. If he wasn't an ancestor, what was he? Jiang Xi smiled and asked Zhang Wei, what happened when I was unconscious? Tell me about it. He had just talked to Jiang Daodu. Jiang Daodu hadn't left the ward for so many days, so she didn't know what happened outside. Listen to me one by one. Zhang Wei smiled. Jiang Xi chuckled. First, you missed the college entrance examination for liberal arts, and missed the admission to the College of Martial Arts this year. So, I'm really a senior junior Jiang Xi. Zhang Wei coughed. Second, Senior Lu went straight to Qiao Wei's house for you. He pulled Qiao Wei's father, the C-class warrior Qiao Wanqiang, out of the city and cut him down with one slash. Senior Lu is really powerful. Oh right. Qiao Wei left Pak Sun province on the day the college entrance examination ended. If you want to get back at him, you might not have the chance. Third, the largest company in Deer Cry district, Qiao's biological group, collapsed overnight because of Qiao Wanqiang's death. You might not know, but the mutation of poultry in the Shilu market caused nearly 1,000 casualties. The law enforcement team also lost an F-class warrior. The mastermind behind this was Qiao's biological group, who was conducting illegal gene medicine experiments. Fourth, finally, it's worth mentioning that when you were unconscious, President He of the Warrior Association, a powerful A-class warrior, personally came to see you. Zhang Wei said with a face full of envy. Jiang Xi nodded calmly. His mind was in a mess. It was a pity that he missed the college entrance examination for liberal arts. It seemed that he would have to waste another year. He would have to take the exam again next year. However, he did not expect that because of his coma, it would cause so many things, especially Lu Shan. For him, he directly killed a C-class warrior. The upper echelons of human warriors had repeatedly ordered that high-level warriors were prohibited from killing each other. Lu Shan must have taken a huge risk to kill Qiao Wanqiang. If I have the chance, I have to thank Senior Lu properly. Jiang Xi thought in his heart. Of course, Jiang Xi knew that the person he should thank the most was the person in front of him, Jiang Dudu. For half a month, Jiang Dudu had been guarding him, never leaving his side. Perhaps it was because he was reborn in this era. From the moment he opened his eyes and saw Jiang Dudu, their fates were connected. No one could leave the other. Jiang Dudu saw Jiang Xi looking at her and smiled. Chapter 20. Even though Jiang Xi was bedridden for half a month, he was still an extreme potential martial artist. His body was in good condition. On the day he woke up, he was discharged from Zhenten Budokan Medical Center. The first thing he did when he was discharged was to move. Knowing that Jiang Xi was moving, Jiang Sheng asked Zhang Wei to drive a Zhenten Budokan car to help. Apricot Garden District. Little Jiang, come back often. Remember, this is your home too. You are the pride of our Apricot Garden District. We will never forget you. When the neighbors knew that Jiang Xi was moving, they all came to send him off. Especially old Yang. He had always treated Jiang Xi as his own child. When he heard that Jiang Xi was leaving, his eyes immediately turned red. Old Yang looked at Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu and sighed. In the blink of an eye, it's already been 6 years. I still remember the first time I saw you two siblings. A skinny little boy was holding hands with a little girl who looked to be only 5 or 6 years old. Each of you was carrying a bag with a big hole in it as you climbed up the stairs. My God, it's such a tall building. I don't even know how you two skinny brats climbed up. Jiang Xi felt a burst of warmth in his heart. He smiled and said, "Yeah, Daodu and I were so tired that we almost fell down the stairs. It was Uncle Yang who caught us from behind." Since then, Old Yang often took care of the siblings, including the siblings' school fees. Old Yang was the one who took care of everything. Later on, Jiang Xi set up a stall to sell vegetables. If it wasn't for Old Yang's help, it would have been difficult for him to establish a foothold. He might have been squeezed out by those old stall owners. Jiang Xi remembered all these little things in his heart. He still didn't have the ability to repay Uncle Yang, but he knew how to be grateful. He wouldn't forget these favors. "Haha, I didn't expect that I would be able to support such excellent people. You and your sister are actually the best in your respective schools. It's a pity that little Jiang missed today's college entrance exam, but don't be discouraged. Come back next year." Old Yang laughed. "Uncle Yang, you have to take care of yourself. We will come to see you often in the future." Although Jiang Dudu had a big heart at this time, she was moved to tears. "Uncle Yang knows. Look, you're a big girl now. Don't cry." Old Yang's eyes reddened again. Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu didn't take many things with them. The house in Apricot Garden was rented, so the furniture and electrical appliances were already there. They only took some clothes and some souvenirs. 6 years ago, when the two of them came, they were carrying 2 school bags. Today, 6 years later, when the two of them left, they were still carrying 2 school bags. The difference was that the school bags were new. They had also grown from a weak bean sprout to a strong young man and a delicate girl. Under the farewell of the neighbors, the two of them got into Genten Budokan's car and waved goodbye. Jiang Xi let out a long sigh, and his eyes became more determined. Life in Apricot Garden was his first stop in this era. The next stop would be even more exciting. The name of Genten Budokan's martial artist community was very domineering. Jiang Xi had just found out that it was called Tongtian Community. It was built by world-class architects and landscapers. It combined the old era's garden style with the new era's technological style. 3 steps to a scenery, 5 steps to a poem, 10 steps to a painting. Small bridges, flowing water, pavilions, terraces, and towers. The villas were surrounded by various sceneries in the community. Zhang Wei parked the car in front of a gray and white villa. Tongtian Community 92. After getting out of the car, Jiang Daodu was pleasantly surprised. She turned around and said, "Brother, can the two of us live in such a big house? I heard that empty houses attract ghosts easily. Will there be ghosts in this house?" Jiang Daodu did not wait for Jiang Xi to reply. She looked at the villa and nodded. "It'll be great if there are ghosts. Then we can catch them as pets." Jiang Xi was silent. "I was just happy, and you're talking about ghosts again. How can we live here in the future?" Jiang Xi had a premonition that he might have to suffer from insomnia more often. "Jiang Xi, I'm so envious of you. You have your own house now. No, I have to become a martial artist quickly. Then I can have my own house and be free." Zhang Wei sighed. "With your physical fitness, you should be able to take the martial artist assessment, right?" Jiang Xi asked. "It's still early. My strength is fast and I'm still 50 kilograms away. However, my speed is not good enough. I won't be able to do it this year." Zhang Wei shook his head. Then he urged, "Hurry, open the door. Let me go in and take a look. I'll be envious. Then I'll have motivation." Jiang Xi chuckled and looked at Jiang Daodu. Their eyes were filled with surprise and anticipation. They opened the door of the villa and walked in. The first thing they saw was a small garden. There was a lawn, a swimming pool, and a small pavilion beside it. Further in was the main body of the villa. It was 3 stories high and there was a basement, a large balcony, and so on. After entering, Jiang Xi and Jiang Daodu's eyes were attracted by the exquisite and luxurious decorations. At this moment, Zhang Wei said, "I heard from Uncle Jiang that this villa used to belong to a D-grade martial artist in Genten Budokan. He moved to another city last year, so it was empty. Senior Liu gave this villa to you." Excluding the surrounding facilities, the total area of this villa is close to 1,000 square meters. In the entire Paksun province, it's a top-notch mansion. Jiang Xi's throat moved. Looking at it from the outside and living in it were 2 completely different feelings. "Brother, how big is the house in Apricot Garden?" "I think it's 32 square meters. 32 square meters. 1,000 square meters. It was equivalent to 30 houses in Apricot Garden." Brother, are we really living in a big house? Yes, we're living in a huge house. Zhang Daodu immediately threw down her bag and looked around the rooms from the first floor to the third floor. Brother, I want the innermost room on the second floor. It has a huge floor-to-ceiling window and balcony. Wow, what a huge TV. It takes up an entire wall and has 360-degree surround sound. It's the best way to watch a horror movie in the middle of the night. Zhang Daodu's loud voice came from the second floor. Zhang Xiai fell silent again. Zhang Daodu, if you mention ghosts again, I'll hit you. I heard that the basement has been transformed into a training room by the D-class fighter. Do you want to take a look? Zhang Wei smiled. Zhang Xi's eyes lit up and he quickly walked to the basement. The basement of more than 200 square meters had been completely transformed into a training room, with all kinds of specialized training equipment. It looked even more professional than the professional training center on the third floor of Genten Budokan Block 3. Oh no, after seeing all this I feel like I ate a ton of lemons today. Zhang Wei lamented. It's okay, there are plenty of rooms. I don't mind taking you in. Fuck, I'm straight. Don't try to turn me gay. Get lost. Zhang Wei sat there for a while and felt bitter. He waved his fist and went to Genten Budokan Block 3. He wanted to train. After Zhang Wei left, Zhang Xiai let out a long breath and suddenly smiled. Life was indeed unpredictable. 2 months ago, he and Zhang Daodu were still struggling to survive. Now they were living in a top-notch mansion. And he himself was going to become a martial artist. Life had become extraordinary. At night, no one came to disturb Zhang Xiai. It was rare for him to relax. He did not go to training. Instead, he personally cooked to congratulate himself on moving into a new house. During dinner, Zhang Daodu took out 2 new mobile phones and placed them in front of Zhang Xiai. Then she stared at Zhang Xiai and said, "Brother, in the future, without my permission, you are not allowed to sleep so long. Otherwise, I will drag you back even if I have to kill my way to the palace of the King of Hell." Okay,